Yes. All right, guys, welcome back to the final step of boot camp. Welcome back. We started with 15. There's 4 in the room. Man. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I know it's a long commitment. Any training you go to that's more than one day is a long commitment, so I appreciate you guys. Today, my game plan is to put it all together. And the package that I give you is what we're going to walk through as it relates to that. So there's not going to be any presentation or anything on the screen that we're going to be following. We're just going to be having a conversation from the package. Second half of the class, we're going to go into the listing and buyer package. When we get to the buyer portion of the package, Jack is going to come in and talk to us about the broker loyalty agreement and transaction book notices and all that. So he's going to give us a broker knowledge on that side of things. So that's what you can anticipate. We'll take a break in between as well. So up to this point, let me ask you guys all, what's been your big takeaway with the boot camp? What's been the most helpful for you? So I know.
Command training.
Okay, command training. Good. What else?
The contract that Jeff went out.
Let me make a list because I just want to make sure what you guys are telling is the most helpful, because as I make changes to it, I want to make sure I don't take away the good. So command, the contract part, what else was good?
The MLS part,
MLS, okay.
CMAs.
Yeah. Is there anything that you guys think I should take out that you didn't think was really needed?
No.
Everything's pretty good.
All of it.
All of it,
All
okay.
of it was good.
All right. So if anything, one of the things I was talking to Jeff about is that I might try to see how we can try to condense some contract stuff into shorter periods. I know it's kind of hard to do without taking away what we want you to grasp, just so we can work more into it, because the reality is, I mean, there's so much more that I would love to continue teaching with you guys. And here's the thing, you know, when I go back to doing group coachings, you guys, some of you may remember 1 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I used to do group coaching. And I stopped doing it for a couple of reasons. I wasn't getting any attendance was one of them. And the second being that I knew I was going to have this coming up. So there was no point of me doing a boot camp and having the group coaching, when realistically, this is where I would see you guys would get the most out of your time. So I appreciate it. And then if anything else comes up throughout, like, hey, Jordan, you know, now that I think about it, you probably could add this or taking this part out. That would be helpful for me to have that feedback. So you can shoot me a message with that. So
when for it next month, if there was like a class that we like didn't get all the nuts and bolts, is it okay to
come in,
Okay.
dude, come in. I'm gonna continue.
I also love the YouTube. It's like so helpful if we can't.
Oh, the chat, yeah.
Otherwise.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna definitely continue doing that. I don't know if I'll see if I'll record next month. I'm not sure yet. But I definitely wanted to have at least a baseline, and then I can just say to you, hey, go watch these steps. And it's been helpful because a lot of people have been asking me questions like, hey, I sent them the link with the start time of when I start talking about that topic, and that's been, I think I sent you one. Yeah, there you go.
I was watching it on the way.
Good. All right, let's get going. So right now, you don't need your computer, you don't need nothing. You just right now need to just sit with me, and we're gonna have a conversation about what's in front of you right now. So this package I put together sometime last year to give to newer agents as they were coming in, and just trying to understand how to treat this like a business. Don't even read into it yet, but I want to ask you this. Do you guys realize you did start a real estate business, a company, by getting a license? You guys did not sign up for a job. Did you know that? Okay. Because sometimes I say that, I ask that because sometimes people they're shocked. They get in here and they thought it was a job. Like, and they come in to meet with us at the office. I'm like, what questions do you have? And they thought they were going to get interviewed for a job. Like, this is not a job. You literally just started a small business that now you can turn into something large or keep it small. There's nothing telling you that you have to open up the next, I don't know, the next Subway and get that big. No, you can just be a little small sandwich shop in Naples. You can be a small sandwich shop in Lee County. You can do whatever you want to do. What I have found over the years, this has been my conclusion, in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, there's 7 levels that you can build your team up to. 7 levels. Level 7 is basically saying that you're not even like, you're just the owner. You don't even run it. You have somebody that you hired, a manager to entirely run your entire organization. Give you an example of that. Like, there's a gentleman by the name of Lance Logan in Texas, I'm sorry. And his team is like 80 people between staff and agents. Like, that's the organization that he's built for himself. And I remember when I started in real estate and then started going to these trainings and I would see that, I'm like, oh my God, I want to be Lance Logan. I want to be Ben Kinney. I want to be this person. Like, I want to grow that big. And then over the years, I realized, I don't know if I really do. I don't know if I really do. That's what we call seventh level, but here's seventh level generally means that you're out of the business. Now you're no longer in production. Your organization's just running, and now you're out doing other things. Like a great example of that is Denny Grimes. Those that know, Denny Grimes is not going on a listing presentation, but Denny Grimes has the sales. He is the owner of that team. He's built a system and a model. He's built an entire organization. He's out coaching. He's out speaking. He's out doing other things.
And making commercials.
That brings leads to his team still. That brings leads to his team still. That's the key thing, right? So what if I don't want to get to that level? There are other levels. Level one is the level that you guys are all in right now. Level one is just simply you. You do all the marketing, you do all the sales, you do all the administrative, you do it all. Level one. Level two is where now you and an admin. That admin could be virtual. That admin could be somebody who physically hire. So like me personally, in 2018, so in my second year, I hired an admin. I hired a girl, Jasmine. Her and I were in Stewart's office right there, and we worked out of that office. I wanted somebody who was physically here with me. And that allowed me to spend more time lead generating, more time networking, more time going on appointments, and less time doing all the other junk. That still has to get done. In level one, I'm the one that had to do all the junk, right? Then eventually you go to level three. Level three is where now it's you, an admin, and maybe a transaction coordinator. And a transaction coordinator, if you guys remember from that class, they help you to make sure you get from contract to close. And if you find the right one, they can also be the one that helps you inputting all your listings. But realistically, if you have an admin, that's what the admin does. Right. So when I would get a listing, then I would have a piece of paper that I would fill out, and I'd walk it over to my admin, Jasmine, and eventually it was Eric, and I would say, here you go. He would look at it, or she would look at it and say, all right, I just have some quick questions for you, just to kind of iron out some things that maybe I didn't fill out properly. And that's it. I actually did not have to touch that file again. He coordinated the pictures, he coordinated the sign to get installed, he spoke to the customer directly around things that were going to be happening, he set it up on showing time, he set it up in the MLS. They did everything so that I can go move on to the next thing, which is go find business. Then you have level 4. And this is where I start getting into what I think is the sweet spot that that you could aspire for, and also be the most profitable, and maybe have the least amount of headaches compared to going in level 7 with 80 people. It's a lot. Level 4 is now you have your 2 admins, and then the old model was that you brought on a buyer's agent. Like, meaning you literally brought on the first agent on your team, but realistically, in the new version of the model, we say you bring on what's called a showing agent.
Yeah.
A showing agent. And what that is simply this, and just so you guys understand, in case somebody ever, if you see something being promoted, hey, we're looking for a showing agent, now you understand what it is. A showing agent just means, hey, I have a lot of leads. Me as the rainmaker, the owner of the team, I have a lot of leads. I can't keep up with them. I don't have time to go show everybody houses because I have too much lead flow coming in, so I need help. So I have a showing agent on my team that I pay a percentage, anywhere sometimes 20 to 30%, just to do the showings. And then I, the owner of my team, and that's my customer, I negotiate the deal. The showing agent just simply goes on showings, opens the door, locks the door.
Door opener.
That's it. And they get generally sometimes 20 to 30% of the deal for doing that. And that's all they got to do is show homes. So like people that I've seen do great at that are the ones that literally, I only want to show homes. I don't want to do all the other stuff. I don't want to negotiate. That's what they want to do, show homes. And that's what they get to do on a team like that. Eventually, what will happen is you go to level 5 and 6 is that showing agent can then become a permanent member of the team, where now they actually get more percentage of the deal. So they might make more money, but they earn into that is the point. Now, with either model, whether you're a showing agent, whether you're a full buyer's agent on a team, for me, this is my take on this. The reason to join a team, generally the reason people build teams, let's start there. People build teams because they have too many leads coming in and they can't service them all. Now I need people to help me service it. That's literally it. So when I said Lance Logan with 80 people, he needs 80 people because that's how much lead flow he's generated. that he can't do it on his own.
I know, right?
He can't do it on his own. So the reason to build a team, and we're not gonna get, so there's 4 models in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. I'll hit on this in one of these couple pages here in a second, but one of them is called the organizational model. We're not gonna really get deep into that today, but that's ultimately what it is. The organizational model is there for you that you can revisit later when you say to yourself, I'm getting overwhelmed and I need leverage. I need people to help me do this job easier because I have way too many leads coming in now and I can't keep up. Any questions on that? So again, my sweet spot that I think is a great spot is you, maybe 1 or 2 admins virtually, and one could be in person, and then maybe eventually a showing agent or somebody that helps you with showing so that you can get time back. That's the sweet spot in my personal opinion. When do you get to that point? My take on it is that you get to that point once you're crossing $200,000. I'm just giving you a blank kind of number you'll see here in a second. I think it holds true. Once you're starting to go 200,000 or more in gross commission income, I think it kind of starts to call for it a little bit. This market, because of our higher price points, getting to 200,000 is not very difficult. So sometimes even then that might, if 200,000 in income only means 20 units you can do on your own. 20 units you can do on your own. So I think another way to look at it is once you're surpassing 36 units, that's probably a good indicator. Okay, hey, I'm getting towards 36.
That's a,
More, it really
no? Seems like it is.
really isn't.
2 sounds like a lot right
I
now.
It really, well, it's because we're putting too much emphasis on the wrong things in the deal. I think is what happened there. We're still learning a lot. That's why. So point of saying all that is I want to get into the big why for a moment, but it's funny because I'll talk to people and I'll have this conversation about their big why, and this is the first time meeting them, and they're just think I am wasting their time. I need you to talk to me about leads. I need you to give me some leads. I need you to tell me how to close deals tomorrow. I'm like, can't help you then. We can't, and you can't help, and no brokerage out here can help you get to where you want to go if you have no idea where you want to go and why you're doing it. So on that first sheet there, it talks, what is your big why? We're not going to analyze this and we're not going to do this together right now. This is homework for you guys. And it says here at the top, I put down, it says, if your why is big enough, then the how does not matter. Your why should make you cry. Ask yourself, what is that? Why is that my why? And dig deeper. So then I have some questions here that you can kind of start reflecting on your own. Here's the reality of it. And when you have a strong motivation, a strong why, a strong desire to hit something, execute something, when the times get tough, you will overcome it. You will not give up. The reality is, I think a lot of agents fall out of the business because they don't have a strong enough why. Not strong enough to overcome the garbage that have to go through, the bad leads, the canceled deals, the person that spent 2 months showing homes and then all of a sudden they went and used somebody else. You can't overcome that if you don't have a strong enough why. You cannot overcome it. And I'm just gonna be very direct today. All the stuff that is popping up in your mind as you say, well, there's this is that, forget it. Forget it, stop, don't defend it. I'm not saying I know more than you, I'm just saying that I've seen a lot of agents go through this and I've experienced it myself. I promise you, the quicker you can figure out your why and start treating this like a business using these models, the quicker you're gonna find momentum and the more predictable of a business you're gonna build. There was a time one year where one of my team leaders, this is before I was in leadership, one of my team leaders asked me, hey, you good on your goals? Like, the market's being a little weird. Are you good? I'm like, I may have come off cocky and it may sound cocky right now. I said, Becky was her name. Becky, if I can't hit my goals, I shouldn't be in this business. And I said that to her because I was following proven models and systems. That's the only reason I could say that I had that level of confidence. Take me back to 2016 before I knew all this stuff. Hell yeah, I'm scared. No, I don't know if I'm gonna hit my goal because I didn't know any better. But once I started to learn models and systems and use them, I could be more confident in my abilities and more confident in what the outcome would be. So again, we're not going to go deep here into what your actual personal big why is. What I would just encourage you to do is go through these questions and really determine why are you doing this? If it's only for money, it's not gonna work.
No.
It's not gonna work. It may work temporarily, it may work for a small season, but it's not gonna work long term.
What if life has altered you in such a way that you have to find a new avenue of being productive in life? That's kind of my story.
Well, that's-
Since I've had 4 back surgeries now, I had surgery.
Yeah.
You know, serving in the army for 21 years, tore the body up.
I think you're going in the right, I think you're on the right direction. I think what I would recommend for you is to get plugged into the military community with Keller Williams, so that you can start getting in groups of like-minded individuals that are probably experience the exact same thing that you're experiencing. Here's what I know about real estate. There's very few people that are like, oh my God, I was just born into it and I wanted to be real estate since I was in middle school. You know, you just don't see that. It's some event.
Well,
That-
for me, I see the opportunity of service.
Yeah,
You know, because I did,
good.
you know, from Boy Scouts to retirement from the army, whatever.
Yeah.
It's all about community service, and this seems to be an avenue for that.
And I agree with
And the
you.
money is kind of like, well, if it works, then.
Byproduct.
Byproduct,
Yeah.
yes.
I think you're on the right direction. Then I think the fact that you're leading with that, not so much like, hey, I heard you can make a lot of money in this. That's the key. You guys, we see it all the time. Why are you getting into real estate? Oh, because I see the shows on HGTV, the lifestyle and the money. I'm like, that kind of worries me a little bit. And it's crazy though, because I've seen a few do that and some do well, short term. And they start making some money and like, they think that they're shit. And then they fall. Because at the end of it, at the core of it, they don't have a why.
I think I like it because it's hard.
The challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know?
like teaching just came like second, it just comes second nature to me.
Yeah.
So this is like you have to work.
Yeah, and here's what I'll tell you with it, there will come a time, it's kind of to your comments earlier, Jason, like there will come a time where this is second nature to you, like,
Yeah.
like I feel like I'm always learning, but it is more second nature for sure than what it was for me in 2017, where I am looking for other challenges because like it just becomes a little robotic in a way. So I always have to revisit my why too, and like where do I get inspired? And you know, for me, these last 2 years, having these type of conversations with agents is where I've been able to find my inspiration. I mean, I don't get the same level of energy I did from the first 5 years just selling homes alone. Like I have to do something else to continue on my why and my
Mhm.
focus. Yeah, yeah.
I know for me, like I got my license in January and I really didn't do anything in the beginning of a couple months. But like, I have learned and grown in these from January to now, just like in my confidence and my learning capability. So like, I do feel more confident compared to when I first started because of just everything that I've learned and putting it into practice and not being fearful to do it. And that's what I struggle, like, is the unknown and the fear kind of grips me.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I feel so much better than I did before.
Yeah.
It's like 10 times better.
Well, that fear you're talking about, when we get to the models here in a second, I mean, that's how I was able to overcome that fear. The fear doesn't really ever fully go away. Your ability to control it and keep it tight is what kind of gets better. Amber,
When you're talking about fear though, are you talking about comfort zone? Or like what?
oh, it's actually fear. There's actually a thing called fear of success, and there's also just fear of failure. You will have both actually. Simultaneously, you will have both. Just let us sit there. I'm not gonna debate it, but I mean, just be prepared. You'll one day tell me, wow, Doris, I understand what you're saying now. There is a thing called, and I've seen even some of my top performing peers that are out there in the market, because I've had this conversation with them. Yeah, they all have it. There's a thing called fear of success and fear of failure. That's why we bring bold around so often. That's why we encourage people to always be in there. Listen, bold is not about, yes, you're going to learn some skills. It's going to work with your mindset. Your mindset is going to screw you over left and right all year. It's weird. It's weird and you can't control it.
Yeah.
You can't. You're not the right person to control it on your own. And that's why, for me, I'm just going to keep it to me. That's why I've always retaken bold so many darn times. It's because every time I'm in it, I'm sharper. Not 100%, but I'm a little bit sharper enough to where I build my pipeline up. And then I notice something happen when Bold's over, and I know no one's holding me accountable. I'm like, relax a little bit this week, and business drops. Business drops. You know what else happens is when you start getting a lot of deals pending together. There was a time I remember I had 10 deals pending at one time, and I'm like, it happens. But when you go into a bold room, you can't let that happen, right? People are holding you accountable, they're relying on you. So the next page on there is a template for you. Those taken bold, you're going to see something similar to this. It's a letter to your family and to yourself. The mission, you'll see the mission at the top here. You're essentially going to be writing a success letter to yourself and your family. What life looks like when you succeed. What have you been able to accomplish? What trips have you been able to take? What experiences have you been able to hit? What accounts have you been able to fund? What investments have you been able to make? What time did you get back with your family when you hit your goals? That's the success letter you're going to write to yourself.
So that would be.
This is not enough
That
paperwork.
would be futuristic, not.
Very futuristic. No, this is futuristic. What I would encourage you to do there is literally imagine yourself 12 months from now, 24 months from now. I mean, what are you feeling? What are you experiencing? I actually wrote a success letter for myself that's 10 years out. I literally already like named 2 additional kids. I have 1 now. I was planning on girls. I got a boy, so that didn't quite fit the letter. But I wrote a letter 10 years out of what my life would look like in 10 years and describing it vividly, what conversations we're having. Because the more I'm able to visualize that and it appears real to me, the more likelihood I am going to achieve it. That's just the reality. I don't know how that all works. I'm not an expert in all that, but I just trust people that I've learned it from and that I've seen it come to action for. So write a success letter. If you're having a hard time writing it up like 1 year out, then I would say, hey, in 5 years, how do you want to be living? This is not enough paper, by the way. Go get another blank piece of paper and write a letter to yourself in 5 years. How do you want to be living? What have you been able to accomplish in business and personal life and family and health, etc. Whatever's important to you, write a letter 5 years out from that. Then you're going to write an apology letter. The apology letter is a letter you're going to give to your kids, to your spouses, whoever in your family or your loved ones that are relying on you. It's the letter you're going to give to them for apologizing for failing.
Gee.
Because you didn't do your job that you set out to do. The painful letter to write.
We're gonna need more people.
It's going to be a painful letter to write. Remember pain versus pleasure? I want you to feel it. I want you to truly feel it, like the pain of who you're hurting. And I always use this kind of a dramatic example, but it proves the point here. You know, here's an example. Like if my daughter and I have a conversation and she's part of my planning for the next year, and hey, part of what we want to accomplish as a family is a Disney cruise. Let's just say that that's what we want to do. Part of my apology letter will look something like this. Hey, Gianna, I'm sorry. We're not going to be able to go to Disney because unfortunately your dad woke up every single morning and was not able to get inspired. I was not able to get into action. I went to work and I was lazy and I didn't make my contacts. I didn't practice my scripts. I didn't do the things I needed to do to make the money that I needed to make so that I can take the family on the trip that I promised to take them. So I apologize for that.
Good God.
That's brutal, but I mean, that's the thing. I don't want to have that conversation. I don't want to have that letter have to be given to her. These are the things that you're going to have to do. These are the things you're going to have to do. In bold, those that are taking it, we will be doing an exercise very similar to this. Bold is we're going to write a letter to ourselves and they're going to take that letter from us. We're going to put it in a pre-stamped envelope and we're going to send it out to you a year later. It's going to go straight to your house a year later, and it's going to be a reminder of what you said you were going to accomplish when you were the most inspired in bold. We're going to do that in a time when you're the most inspired. We're going to find out what happens a year later.
So aim low.
Yeah, you could. You could. I know. I'm with you. Next.
You know, I'd like to say something about this whole concept.
Please.
We're talking about what motivates one. Is that all the time I was in the army or whatever. I mean, like even junior high school, I played as a lineman, not as running back or a quarterback or a receiver. And I realized that there's team. So that was me doing my part, being the team player. And going into the military, again, team. But at the same time, you start to realize there's people around you and people above you that are just stuck on stupid. And you could be the hardest worker, the smartest worker, or whatever, but still not have those opportunities. It was so much in the military is about who you know and going out with them. And like when you travel, you know, like let's say it was at Fort Lewis and we traveled down to, you know, Costa Rica for a mission or whatever. Well, those who went out drinking and partying all night with the pilots or whatever, the next day they had all the secrets on each other. So throughout their career, the officers pulled along those enlisted guys. You can see it, it's very obvious. So to me, the thing was is, and even since I retired from the Army, even working in aviation, you know, I've done all kinds of management level jobs. Out of 21 years of military service, I've had 17 and a half years of leadership time where I've led anyone from say one person, be it myself or another person, just one person under me, or 105. And oftentimes, even though I didn't get promoted beyond where I should have been promoted, a lot of reasons for that, but more importantly to know that there was a time we were out in National Training Center. This is after 9/11 happened, and we're getting ready to gear up and go to Iraq. Well, here we are, I'm an E6, a staff sergeant, and we're out in the field and our first sergeant falls into a ditch and breaks his back. So he's medevaced out of there. Because on the desert, it's dark at night. But anyways, the next morning, the commander's there with all the platoon sergeants, one of which I am, but all the rest of them are E7s and E8s. And I'm the E6. And they said, which one of you guys want to stand up and be the first sergeant? None of them not even flinched, not even thought about it. They're just like. So I waited a full 10 seconds. Commander said, come on, anyone? And it stood forward. I said, I'll do it, sir. And so for 45 days out in the desert, I was the first sergeant. That's when I was in charge of 105 people. But my point is that if I could motivate myself to do all the stuff, to work harder, faster, get that shiny example of, you know, my soldiers passed the PT test better than that, to, you know, my soldiers went to college. I had soldiers that got green to gold, you know, whatever. I, as an NCO, a non-commissioned officer, we teach our soldiers to improve themselves, make themselves better. So it's a, you know, I have to lead by example too, do better, be better.
Yeah.
All of those lessons have taught me a great many things, but certainly when it comes to real estate, there's no one holding me accountable. And if I have to be in at 5 a.m., I told myself this morning, and making the same excuses, whatever. I said, I'm gonna get up at 5 and leave by 6 and be in here so I could do whatever, add contacts or whatever. I was a half hour late to this.
Don't kill yourself.
No, but I'm just saying, we are our own bosses, and so that even sometimes is hard to embrace. You know, maybe we've got some other kind of motivation that might keep us motivated for a while. But the idea of being a self-starter, setting goals, planning goals, making things happen, getting all that to go and work and keeping after it, like throwing coal in the locomotive. That's what we have to do.
Preach it.
Yeah, there's a couple, I started writing down things that I knew I was gonna forget. No, about what you were saying though. So I think the leading by example is the toughest part of the ball, because here's the thing, like, you know, I go back to, being in the groups and the teams in Bold, for example, like when you now know these people are relying on you, like I show up differently. I show up different to Bold. I show up different to the office because I know more people are relying on me. But you're right. Like if you have to be self-motivated. You gotta get, like for me, it used to be, I'd get up at 6 and be here at this gym over here back when I started in 2017 here. I'd go to the gym. I can be here by 7:45. I did my role play. Like, and we're going to talk about schedule here in a moment, actually, towards the end of this package. But the point is, you had to be very disciplined, self-motivated, because if you couldn't do it for yourself, then how the hell is somebody ever going to come work with you as well later on? And that was probably the toughest thing for me about hiring my first person. It's like, wait a minute, now not only do I need to show up for me and my family, I got to show up for this individual as well, because they believe in me, and I'm the one bringing the paycheck, right? So
But
there's,
isn't it also hard, like trying to like figure out this whole, like, you have a family.
Mhm.
I'm new to having a family, so that shit is just hard enough in itself, having to figure out.
Yeah.
Like, I need to be a mom first, but I don't sometimes, so
Oh.
then that's like. You deal.
So I'm probably not gonna be,
Yeah, but you're a dad. so
well,
you
no,
feel-
let me kind of explain something here with that. And this is what, we're on the right, we're on track, by the way, guys, this is what today's conversation is. So when I started, just to go back for a second, I was in, at this time, a 3-year relationship. I had a daughter. She was turning 3 soon. So my ex-wife at the time, she was working. And so that alleviated some stress for me because I knew income wise, I needed to bring in about $1,500 a month. I'm like, all right, well, I can figure this out. But I think to your point, for me, I felt this need, and then maybe it's a man thing. I don't know if a woman's gonna feel any different, but as a man, I was like, I gotta figure this out. You know, I don't want to be relying on my wife to cover the bills, right? So for me, I went all in. And do I think that played a toll on my relationship? It did. It did.
Yeah,
Do I regret it? Sorry, no, I don't, because I don't really ever regret that much. I just learned from it. It's the way I look at it.
right.
So I don't regret it. I am where I am today, where I'm divorced and remarried. Now, do I treat my relationship different this time around as it relates to the balance between work and business? Yeah, absolutely. And part of it sometimes is literally just having your family involved in your plan.
Right,
When your family's involved, it's a lot easier.
yeah,
If they're fully committed with you, they all understand, because at the end of the day, we're doing this for a certain payoff.
Yeah.
My why, when I first started, I was a car guy. I think I told you this. Like, I was into cars. I was the guy that literally every 9 months had a new car out there, Corvettes and Chargers, and I was switching cars left and right. Again, I don't regret anything. But today, I don't give a shit. Today, I'm driving a '09 Honda Civic out there.
Right.
And I'm gonna get rid of my other car, and
Of course they
you
do.
know, and I'm like, I'm okay with that now.
Yeah.
Because now what I care about is where am I putting money, what trip, and really what trips am I taking? Like, my wife and I were gonna go for 2 weeks in December to the Dominican Republic, and I thought to myself, wait a minute, I don't want to do that just this year. I want next year to go 3 or 4 times for 2 weeks at a time to the Dominican Republic. But that was not how I started. That wasn't my why when I started. So one lesson there is that your why today is gonna change 12 months from now, and that's completely okay. Mine was literally with money. This was a lot of my why, money and things. Eventually became experiences and time with family. So you're gonna be at a different stage, but the point is this: keep your family involved with the journey
Yeah.
as a business, and I think that will help. And one thing too, plan in advance. So I think one thing that I learned from real estate that wasn't quite the same in retail is that in retail, you know, we had. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then one more Saturday. In retail, it sucked. Retail, I had no control, really very little control of my hours and stuff like that, or when I take my vacations. My vacations were kind of pre-planned for me based on whatever. One of the things I do with real estate, and this is kind of getting to the time blocking piece a little bit later, like if this is the month of September coming up, right? We're going in September.
yeah,
Yes.
tomorrow.
I make a decision before I start the month, and this is I do it with my family. You know, with my family, I might say to them, okay, hey, listen, on the last week of September, we're gonna take these days completely off. There's gonna be no work happening. And oh, my daughter has an early dismissal or no school on this date, so I'm gonna take that day off because I want to spend it with her. And my daughter has a field trip, whatever, Busch Gardens, this Tuesday, and I want to take that field trip with her. So then I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna say, no, these are my off days, and I choose not to work this date, this date, this date. Okay, I'll do an open house that day, but I don't want to work these dates. All right, okay, so then I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So then I said to myself, okay, I got 17 working days. And then all my activities that I need to do need to be done in those 17 days. That for me is the biggest difference for where the world I come from versus how I treated real estate. Plan your months 3 months out and figure out for your family first where you're going to show up with them But then the opposite side of that is that, you know, kids, husband, for us to make this work, I need you not to bother me these 17 days. These 17 days, I'm gonna go all in.
Right, and then
That's
what
a-
you could do with that too, like, let's say, remember you were kind of taught us how many showings you need to have a day, then
Yeah,
you
of
would
course.
know in that 17 days, okay.
Yeah.
I need to have this many showings per day in order to get my number.
So
Say
to her,
that again.
to her point, we're gonna, I think 2 sheets, I'll show you what she's referring to. That when you use what's called the economic model that Eric Keller has designed for us, and then we'll walk through it briefly. The economic model is gonna spit out how many appointments you need. For most of us, for most of our goals, that's anywhere between 5 to 7 appointments a month is all we need. We got plenty of time. Right? We got plenty of time. But the thing is, what most of us do is then day one, we didn't get an appointment. Oh, no big deal, I got plenty of time. Oh, no big deal, I got plenty of time, and then we fall behind.
Right, you need to bust your ass day 3 if you.
So if, let's just use an even number right now. So if the appointment goal is 6, then realistically, it's more like this. And maybe this is a flex week, but I would just leave it as, hey, I need 2 appointments a week. You got plenty of days to accomplish those appointments. And when you have your family bought into this and they protect your time, like I know some people that they're instructors as well. So for example, them protecting their time is that they know when, you know, this is one of our coaches that used to do this. He's like, they know he had something he would put on his door. They know when daddy has his door closed and the thing was on the door, like, don't bother daddy, it's money making mode so that we can go do that trip, because the kids were always involved in, you know, why is daddy doing what he's doing? That's something I never did with my ex. That's something I never did in my old world in general. I'll do this. And there was a thing, I wish I forgot, remember the exact model. There used to be a thing every 3 months. So write it down, because I think it's pretty much spot on. Every 3 months, take 7 days off. Every month, take a 3-day weekend. Every month, take a 3-day weekend. And once a month, like, leave early on a day, I think is what it was. I can't remember the last one, but either way, the first 2 I think are great baseline. I think if every 3 months you take 7 days off, and every month you take a 3-day weekend, I think you'll be good. You'll have enough time to replenish and refuel yourself.
Well, and then it also kind of makes you work harder for the time that you are here, because. Right, you know what I mean? Like, if you're just like, okay, yeah, I'm here every day, Monday through Friday, then it's just like you just get into this mode. But if you get into like you know, like, hey, I took time off, I need to bust it.
Yep.
Like, yeah,
Yep.
it's just a mindset,
So-
yeah.
Let me keep going on.
3 months, take 7 days.
Yeah, and then every
1
month
month,
take a 3-day
3-day
weekend.
weekend.
I just don't remember what the third one. It was basically like an extra day off somewhere. It was just a model that somebody taught. I don't
Take
remember.
a day off.
I like the first 2.
But that's what-
I like the first 2. Yeah, so moving forward, and you know, that's a good point. That's enough. I felt like it was for me, and then, because here's the thing, I loved what I did. It's not like I didn't, so like for me, it didn't
Well, that's
matter.
28 days in the year. If you do it every 3 months.
Oh, off?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go, there's a whole month. right there.
7's a lot, I don't know if I can do
And then
that.
if you did 3 weekends.
7 days in the family, no.
That's
Great to
another-
more frequent, like I.
Another
need a
12
7
days
day, but if you
when
need
you
more
do the 3-day weekend.
Right.
You don't, but we work Saturday, Sunday typically anyway, so.
Well, it depends on,
6 days.
it depends on you, you know, it depends on you. I personally, yeah, when I first started, I used to work the weekends, but then I stopped working the weekends. And that's where I would use a showing agent to help me on the weekends. And I would split the deal with them. All right, on the next page, it talks about mission, vision, values, beliefs, perspective. Do you need to have one for yourself tomorrow? No, you don't. Keller Williams has one, and I've always just adopted the Keller Williams mission, vision, values, beliefs, perspective. Over time, as I figure out myself and who I am and how I want to represent people and what's important to me, then you can kind of create one for yourself. But for the most part, you can just take Gary Keller's mission, vision, values, perspective. But in your organization, if you think about any business that's ever been built, do they have a mission statement?
Yes.
All right, well, you should have a mission statement too. You're not gonna figure yours out today, so I wouldn't lose sleep over this one today, unless you really have it dialed down. Maybe you do, or maybe you don't. The point is, it's your excuse. It's okay not to have this down today. I didn't worry about this till like, I think 3 years in. But I wanted you to have that there because that's something I want you to have in the back of your mind. All right, the next page talks about the 4 fundamental models. it talks about the four there. You got the economic model, lead generation model, budget model, and organizational model. These are the four models in Gary Keller's Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. These are the four models that created that little cocky George that said, if I can't hit my goal, I shouldn't be in here. I shouldn't be in this industry, because the model literally just spells out that it spells out the numbers for you of what you should be hitting. So today I'm going to hit on the economic model and lead generation model. Because I think those are probably the most important, but I want you to know that the other two are in this package as well, so you can revisit them as well. So split the page, you should be on this page now. Should be on this page, yep. So this page is gonna be an example of a millionaire real estate team. This is a team that nets $1 million or more. That's the example of one. So let's look at this for a second here. So, and let's from the top down. So just so you guys know what I'm doing, I'm gonna walk from the top down. So for order for me to net $1 million in net income, which is so at 40% of my total income, $1 million of it is my net. I would have operating expenses of $750. I would have cost of sales $750, and I would need to do a total gross commission income of $2.5 million. I'm gonna explain to you where these other numbers come from, the 30%. So don't worry about that yet. This team that wants to do $1 million in net income needs to sell $2.5 million in real estate commissions, divided by 7,150, which is the average commission in this particular market. For this example, this team would have to do 350 deals. Let's stop right there. And who wants to be my guinea pig today?
Jeff.
Jeff does. All right. Well, then you have a calculator out to help me here. And Jeff, just round numbers. Don't overanalyze the question I asked you. Just give me numbers. Okay?
I've never had overanalyzed.
Yes, you do.
What do you mean?
How much net do you desire to make in 12 months? This is meaning money to cover your taxes and all your expenses. Now your personal expenses, not bills for your business. Just literally.
How much take home I get?
How much take home that with that take home you're going to pay your taxes, and then it'll cover all your expenses, other than business expenses.
First year out, I guess, 100,000.
Okay, 100,000. Let's keep that one. All right. So an agent that wants to net, and this is the thing, a lot of agents are saying to me, hey, I want to make 100,000, but what is that, net or gross? Just like in the salary when we're getting paid, but if I have a $100,000 salary, I'm not getting 100,000 because I got taxes. So Jeff wants to net 100,000, which Gary Keller teaches us should be 40% of the total gross commission income. So we're gonna do some math here for a second. I'm gonna leave some space here because I gotta fill in some other things. Go ahead and give me, put in 100,000 into your calculator and divide that by 0.40. Tell me what that gives us.
Divide?
You divide that by 0.40.
You're gonna tell us
Yep.
that for you.
250.
250,000.
250,000. Say that, ask that question again.
Never mind.
What I just figured out here is my total GCI that I would need to do in total gross commission to make sure that I net 100,000. And why? Because I have two other expenses that I need to take into consideration. One of them is called expenses, which are what runs your business. And the other one is called cost of sale. These are things that you pay only when you sell something. The model that Gary Keller teaches is 30% to budget, 30% towards cost of sale, and to budget 30% towards expenses, leaving you with 40% of the gross commission. So imagine you have $250,000 in gross commission income. So 100% of that commission, we're going to break it down where 30% is going to go towards cost of sale, 30% goes towards expenses, and you should be netting 40,000. I'm going to stick to the model as we continue to talk about it, but I want you to understand one thing here. As an agent on your own solo, you're going to net more than 40% because your expenses are not going to be as high as what this model says that you should be spending. So take 250,000, and I want you to multiply that by 0.30.
0.75.
0.30.
75,000.
The model says that you should be spending 75,000 towards the cost of sale, and then you're gonna be spending 75,000 towards your business expenses
Yearly,
yearly. Business expenses, they're in the book, and there's actually a tab that you guys have, I'm gonna just jump to it real fast, and then we'll come back to it. If you go 2 pages over, there's a page called the budget model, but the budget benchmarks. Down at the bottom, it says operating expenses by gross commission income. If you look there, you'll see what type of categories of business expenses you should be tracking. My advice is go see a CPA or a bookkeeper to help you as well. All right, go back to where we were. I just wanted you to know that there. If you're not right now set up as a, so here's the thing, if you are set up as a business, you should have a separate business account. And that's where all your business expenses are paid from. So hear me out here. You will likely not spend $75,000 in the next 12 months. That's just the reality of it. Because you're gonna do what Gary Keller teaches us, is to lead with revenue. We don't go spend a bunch of money until we're making money. I did not spend anywhere near $75,000 my first year. Eventually, by year 3, 4, 5, I was spending close to that, or not right around that, because I had an admin, and an admin was 40 grand of my overall expenses that I was paying for the whole year, right? Then on top of that, listing pictures of rent of the office, car, phone, insurance, all that stuff that I track in the business. Yeah, I was spending right around there to make this level of money. But you won't know what you're gonna be spending unless you track your numbers. What I'm gonna tell you is just this, this is the baseline. In your first year, you're probably, let's say you spend only 20,000 hypothetically, then that's just part of the model. Like if you hit this number, but you only spend 20,000, well, that difference is just now more to your net.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
yeah,
That's all it is. Look at this as a baseline for you to know, okay, if I'm gonna make $250,000, I need to allow myself the room, either, hey, I can spend up to that to run my business, or I can say, no, I'm gonna run as cheap as possible, and then just let that be icing on the cake on my net, or money that you just put off to the side for the rainy day when you're not selling anything, you still need to cover your business bills. All right, cost of sale. What cost of sale these are only fees you pay when you sell something. That's royalty, company dollar, or a referral fee that you have to pay to another agent. Maybe somebody sent you that lead and you have to pay a referral fee, or maybe you're at the split with the office because they gave you the lead. Whatever the case may be, it's only fees that you pay when you sell something. Well, if you guys are doing quick math here, we know that our cap is 27,000, our royalty is 3,000, that's 30,000. That's difference of 75 to 30. Well, again, that's either icing on the cake up here or money you put off to the side. It's really just gonna be icing on the cake, because the reality is, unless you do get a lot of referrals from other agents, then you have to pay referral fees out. Then that's where that would go. Again, go overanalyzing. The reality is that's the model, 30, 30, 40. You're not gonna probably spend anywhere, bless you, you're probably not gonna spend anywhere near these two numbers in the next 12 to 24 months. Now, but if you are nearing this gross commission income and you're netting a lot, then I would almost argue, hey, where could you reinvest back into your business? I love that you're netting more money if you hit this number in the next 12 months. Could you reinvest somewhere in your business to get more money back, to get more return on your database? There probably is an opportunity, and this is where you need a business coach. This is
wouldn't
where,
that take you to a different level then?
well, investing back in your business.
Yeah, like
Absolutely.
5.
You're gonna grow your business. Yeah, you're gonna grow your income. So, that's all this model did right here, where we just got to the 2.5 million. This is literally what it would look like for somebody who wants to net 100,000. So when you hear an agent say, oh, I wanna make 100,000, I wanna make 6 figures, what you're really saying is you need to gross 250,000.
yes.
Follow the model. The
Wow.
number is probably not gonna need to be that high. It's probably gonna ultimately end up probably being closer to like 160 to 180. Let's shoot for that. Now, if we take the same math that we're doing here, and we know our average commission here, I'm gonna use 15,000 because that's 3% of 500,000. Our average price point is over that. And a 3% commission, that would be $15,000. So this agent needs to do how many deals, Jeff? 250 divided by 15,000.
16.6 round up, make it
16.6.
not to be dangerous.
No, I'm just writing both, but I do round up. So I need to sell 17 homes.
What was your average?
500,000 is what I used it. So I get asked a lot, why haven't I sold a home, so what do I use? Well, use the average. Use the average. You may have some little home sales below that, you may have some above that, use the average. Now, we're only gonna focus on one side of this chart for the sake of time, because the right side of the chart is the same. So we're gonna just focus on the left side of this chart. Gary Keller teaches us that we should have a balanced business, 50% sellers, 50% buyers. So, Jeff, what is 17 divided by 2? 8.5. So I would need to sell 8.5 listings or 9 to hit my goal. I would need to sell 9 listings. Now, focus with me on the left side. In the example from the book, this team would need to sell 175 listings. Now, Jeff, let's just go with 9, okay? We're gonna take 9 and we're gonna divide that by 0.70, so 0.70. That should, tell me what that number is.
12.85.
I'm gonna round up to 13. So in order for me to sell 9 listings, I would need to list 13 homes. On the book there, in the model, it says it's a 70% conversion rate. You're not gonna sell every listing you take. Some are just not gonna sell. Overpriced, not motivated enough, it expires, etc. So I need to list 13 homes to sell 9. But I gotta figure out another number, which is how many appointments I'm gonna need, how many appointments. So take 13 for me and divide that by 0.75. You guys see the conversion numbers on the sheet there.
17.3.
17.3, so 18. So in order for me to sell 9 homes, I need to go on 18 listing appointments. 13 of them are gonna agree to work with me, and then 9 of them are actually gonna sell.
And that's in a year.
That's in a year. So take 18 and divide that for me by 10. 1.8 or 2. So when it comes to listings, I need to go on 2 appointments per month, and I did 10 because we're gonna take time off. So I'm not gonna work 12 months. So I wanna know what it's gonna take to hit my goal in 10 months. I need 2 listing appointments per month.
You need 2 booked listings.
Booked listing appointments, yeah. 2 booked listing appointments only. That's what that number is. 2 listing appointments a month is what I would need when I divide these numbers. Now on the listings, on the buyer side, it's the same numbers. That's why I'm not gonna do it again, because it's 50-50, it's balanced. So on the buyer side, I need 18 appointments too. So how many total appointments do I need per month between listings and buyers? 4. 4 a week. 4, right? And I remember the example earlier for 2. Yeah. In that case, it was 1 a week. What I encourage all of you to do is on the next page, there's a blank template. If you've been coaching with me, there is an electronic version of this that I can give you, but I honestly think that you guys should get very comfortable with doing just a simple math of it right there. On the back of the page we were just reviewing, there's a blank one for you. Please don't use 100,000 just because it looks good, an even number. The way you figure out what your number should be, I'm gonna just help you with that real quick, is what I call the lid. Some of you have already heard me talk about it, so I'll be quick on this. The lid is simply this: you're gonna take a sheet of paper, you're gonna write L on it, and you're gonna list out all of your monthly expenses to operate your house. All your monthly expenses to operate your house and maintain the lifestyle you currently have. Then you're gonna do another column or row, and it's gonna be your I, it's investments. What investments you wanna make over the next 12 months? Is there money in an IRA account? Let's go IRA account. Is there stock investments? Is there a second property? Is there a vacation? What are things are we saving our money for to invest into something, either a product or an experience? And then D, how much money we need to put aside for debt reduction goals? Maybe we have a car payment of $350 and that goes into the lifestyle number because I gotta pay that every month to maintain my lifestyle. But if I wanna pay that car off this year and it's gonna be a balance of 20,000 even after my payments, then I'm gonna put 20,000 in my debt reduction goal. Because I'm gonna pay off that car this year. I'm just giving you an example. You don't have to.
Liquid. By the end of the year, you wanna be liquid.
The 20,000 to pay off the car,
Yeah.
if that's what my goal
I
is.
mean, you wanna be debt free.
No, I'm not telling you what you need to do.
No.
I'm not telling you what you need to do. All I'm telling you is that use this model to figure out how much income you need to earn. Because the number, when we add all this up, that number should be roughly what we're gonna put up here.
And that could be any number.
It could be any number. Here's what I know, a lot of people will tell me 100,000, then when I have them do this exercise, they're like, oh crap, 100,000 won't even cover my bills. It happens. So, before I get off of this topic, any questions? You got one of your homeworks is to do this for yourself and figure out how many points you need to go on to hit your goal. If you don't have a goal, you gotta do the lit exercise. Questions? All right, and the next part of this is the next page where it talks about the lead generation activities. So remember, Gary Keller has 4 models. First one was economic model. Last one, economic model is what we just did. The next model is what we call the lead generation model. On the next page should be this one. Should be this one that everybody's looking at. Go back one more page for me, just so I can make sure. Yep, you got it. If you're uncertain what lead generation sources you want to work or are out there, this is just a little memory jogger, if you will. Like, here are a couple different lead sources. I want you to remember, and I can't remember which class I did this in. We talk about being prospecting based, marketing enhanced. Don't be marketing based, and then no prospecting. If you just did only marketing, I'm sorry, but you're not going to build a very predictable business.
Right.
You can't just be marketing based. You have to go out there and do some of these prospecting activities, and some of them a combination of both. So just remember that prospecting based, marketing enhanced. So what we do on social media, that's enhancing the prospecting we're doing. It doesn't take the place of prospecting.
Yeah.
If you are not going to prospect and hit the phones and talk to people and connect with friends and connect with strangers, you're not going to have a long career, period. Sorry.
Wait, this is a quick question. So, and this has to do with prospecting. So, like, let's say you go to a coffee shop and, I mean, that's you in front of a ton of customers. How do you dangle the carrot like naturally to where you get what you want? Is that even,
Well, it is a thing. So a couple of, so I've never done it, and I probably will never do it. Actually, I will take that back. I will do it for something else. When you see those agents wearing the "I sell real estate," ask me about real estate.
Right, yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're being strategic in the sense that everywhere they go, they want somebody to see them and hopefully strike up a conversation. I know plenty of agents with laptops like yours that deck out the front, go find the perfect seat at Starbucks, wear that flashy shirt so they get called out, and then they just friendly hellos to everybody. Could I, I'm just saying.
Your friendly hello is a dangled carrot.
Could I, but because I'm also wearing everything else to reinforce this. I'm not just a random dude. I'm like, okay, you're gonna look at me like, okay, yeah, that guy sells real estate. It needs to be that obvious. Could I'm just throwing it out there because you're bringing up the lead generation source. Could I go into Starbucks and let's say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay, could I spend $50 on 10 $5 gift cards? And say, hey, I'd have to get permission. Maybe Starbucks won't let me do it. Maybe I'd have to go to like a local mom and pop shop. But could I not technically get permission from them and say, hey, I'd like to give out $50 in gift cards to talk to 10 people about real estate. Would you be okay with that? Yeah, go ahead and sit right there. Okay, great. Hey, how would you like an opportunity to earn a $5 gift card? And then you figure out what your strategy is going to be. Like, what are you going to tell them in like 2 minutes, or what you're going to do to try to gather their information? Could that be a lead gen source that's prospecting based? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The marketing enhanced side of it now is like, okay, well, hey, maybe I have somebody taking pictures of me doing this and then share that and do some social media marketing with it. And people are like, oh shit, well, which coffee shop are you at today? You can get creative with just about anything that crosses your mind. So I would encourage you that when you have these ideas, run with it. But here's the thing. It kind of takes me to my next point. I'm going to jump a little bit here. I'm not going to jump yet because I want to get off track. You can't do that every week though, where it's like, hey, this week I want to do this, the next week I want to do that. So when we get to the GPS in a moment, kind of hold on to that thought, because I've talked to you about this before. You got to pick 2 or 3 lead sources, and that's it. If you pick more than 2 or 3 lead sources, you're going to fail. I'm sorry. I'll say it brutally. You're going to fail if you're working more than 3 lead sources without mastering any of them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm not saying you can't do it later on. You absolutely can. But if you want to find success fast, you need to pick a lead source and master it and go hard at it. 2 tops maybe. 3 is really the model, but again, if I had to look at it and redo it, I'm like, man, well, how can I just get at 2 things?
But don't you think as a new agent, you're kind of trying to figure out which one works and which one doesn't, so you're.
Yeah,
That's a certain period of time where you're just trying a few things.
Yeah, the challenge with this is this. The challenge with that is this. They all work. No, they do. I'm sorry. Guys, listen. I'm just giving it to you how it is. I've been here long enough and been to enough masterminds long enough to know that they all work.
Right, it just depends on the. person.
That is the fun thing about this industry is that they all work. Like this silly coffee idea, it's not silly because it works. There's people that go out there and do this with dog parks. They go to dog parks and make it a point to meet dog owners. What is your name? Oh, Jeff, great. What's your dog's name? Oh, I'm not sure what kind of dog. What kind of dog is that? And then when you're not looking, I'm writing this in my phone in my notebook. And I'm writing a description. Jeff, bald guy. Okay, he's got the dog. Yeah, weird shoes on. Came in that weird bright color car. Here's what I know. The next time I come to the park and I see Jeff getting out of his car, I'm like, where am I? Yep. Okay, Jeff. Hey, Jeff. What? You know my name? There's literally people doing that as a lead source. Anywhere and everywhere you go. So here's the point to your comment is that they all work. It's just that we're not doing it long enough for it to work. And that's the problem with trying different lead sources out is that if you're not willing to try for at least 3 to 6 months, then don't even waste your time. You may find some luck in week 1 of doing a lead source, and then it might go months without finding anything, or vice versa. You may go a month with nothing over a result, and all of a sudden, boom, it clicks. What I simply know is this: get into activity, pick 2 or 3 things, and commit to it for 6 months. You will find business. But what I would encourage you to do is look at lead sources or things that you're actually going to commit to. Like if I did that coffee idea, honestly, I can tell you right now, I wouldn't be able to commit for 6 months of doing that.
Hell no.
I wouldn't.
Go crazy.
I wouldn't be able to commit for 6 months.
Even if it's just like.
But if I did,
One given day a week.
oh, well, maybe. Maybe.
Because you can
So
get-
find
you can get
something
maybe.
and
each
stick with
week
it and
get-
stay committed to.
You gotta
the
stay
plan.
committed to it. I'm telling you, it's that picture. You guys have all seen the image that pops up on social media all the time. The 2 guys digging,
Yeah,
one finds a diamond and the other
Yeah.
one gives up. I'm like, well, dude, you were like 2 scoops away,
yeah.
2 digs away from that diamond. That's what this is. That's
If
how
you
this
bounce
shows up.
around, it doesn't work, right?
If you bounce around, it doesn't work.
Right,
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Huh?
yeah, you're trying to find a needle in a haystack, but it doesn't work,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
the numbers.
Yep.
Gotta get good.
All right, let me keep going here to hit stay on track.
Curtis, do you have, cause you have children, that's a good way to bring. Is that a lead source for you?
So
How do you
Not so
think-
much today because I'm really focused on the office, so you guys know that.
Right, okay,
But when I was, so when I bought the house in the water, then I got the boat, that was a lead source for me. I made it a point that every family that had kids, that was in my database or wanted to put into my database, all I had to do was invite them out for a boat day. And I always did on the weekend I had my daughter. That's what we were doing.
brilliant.
And my bows, so those that know how boats acquire hours, I had 100 hours on my boat by like within 3 or 4 months. I racked up the hours on that boat because I was on it every weekend, and I just made it a point to never go out by myself.
But then it was just like cause when you're on a boat, it's kind of like you're a team, you know what I mean? Like you can't go anywhere, so it's like you built.
Oh, yeah,
You know what I mean?
okay.
Like they can't like leave you, so it's like you.
No, you're bonding with people.
And they trust you because, yeah,
You're bond, and I always joke with them. Don't worry, guys. I got my captain's license on YouTube watching videos. You guys are safe. Let's go have some fun. It was just a fun thing, and I just bought not burgers. Publix chips, dip, and then the Publix Hawaiian breads. Cut them up, mayonnaise, ketchup, deli meat. Put it back. Put it in the package, and for $20, $30, I'm good to go.
yeah, no, it's brilliant, okay.
And I never charge anybody for gas.
So how did you slip real estate? I get that bringing them on and all that, but then how do you like?
Because here's the thing, guys, here's what we're forgetting, and I think this is the tough part about lead generation. We forget they're humans. We just have a conversation about family, occupation, recreation, dreams. They're gonna ask you. I don't have to bring up real estate. I don't have to ask, hey, are you buying and selling real estate this year that I can help you with? I don't have to ask it that way. All I'm doing is nurturing a relationship. When they're ready to do real estate, as long as I am staying top of mind, they're gonna think of me.
building and everything. People.
So bring it, that, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. When I take them out on the boat, I don't purposely bring up real estate at all. I really hate, we talk about family, that's honestly what we talk about, family work stuff. But their work stuff, not mine, but here's what happens, they ask me about mine,
Of course, yeah.
And what is your response?
on what?
How's work? Or how's the business or whatever?
Oh, it depends on the time of the market.
but what is
No, I usually would say simple things. Hey, no, work's great. I'm working with a couple of buyers right now. We're looking for properties here and there. Market's doing really good. People have, I mean, it depends on what it's the market of the moment. I
But
can't give
don't
you.
you try to stay positive in your comments back to them? I mean, why would you wanna be anything but positive?
Right.
Well, no, it's the positive, positive, oh, I don't even know what the word is I'm looking for.
Right,
The positive part of whatever that market of the moment is, because in the market of the moment, there is still always something positive, and then I always ask, well, it depends, are you guys thinking maybe selling or buying? Because the answer would also be a little bit different there, based on if they're selling or buying.
so that's the question, so are you guys thinking about, okay,
Well, that's the
Okay.
question that leads you, because here's the thing, I used to use this example, because I used to work at Best Buy and we sell TVs and there's a whole wall of TVs, and here's some of my guys would be like, oh, you're looking for a TV, oh, here's the Sony. Here's the Samsung, oh, here's the LG, but hey, let me show you this new one that came in, here's this, I'm like, dude, no, stop. What are they, find out more about them and their lifestyle with their needs, why they're asking, why are they looking at TVs, why are they asking about real estate? I
and the
can tailor my
question, are
answer
you
to that.
looking to buy or sell is not, like, that's not offensive. Like, that's just a straight
No.
fact,
That's a straight fact.
like, if I have friends that are pregnant and that are having babies, wait, so are you guys thinking about, right, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
That's it.
I just, I'd like a,
You could attend the baby shower.
Yeah, here's a,
And then they pull you aside and they say, hey, you sell houses, right? Because Johnny and I are thinking about, we need to get a bigger house. Bada bing, bada boom.
it doesn't happen like
Isn't
that.
that when you buy
It
your
could,
real estate
if
now?
you're in your mind presently enough.
say that again?
Or that's the point where you buy that real estate shirt on, right?
If that's your
Well,
method, I've never done that. I'm not comfortable with that, so I never did that. Like I said, guys, the lead source or the activity is just the catalyst that being conversation with people.
Right,
That's it. So when I used to go to teach for other market centers around the state of Florida, I did that I love to teach, but then I also did it because now when I'm getting belly to belly with agents and other market centers, now it's easy for us to connect and have referral partnerships. That's how I got a lot of agent referrals. I would
Yeah,
go teach in other offices. And like, oh, wait a minute, actually I have somebody in Naples. I'm your guy. I'm building that, I can't, I suck at saying this word,
it's just a simple question though, are you looking
Yeah,
to
yeah, I
buy
know.
or sell, it's gonna be either a yes or no, like, you know what I mean, so what, so it's.
Right, but here's the thing, dude, yes, it's that simple, and we have to make sure that, that it doesn't appear as if that's all we care about, so we need to have genuine connection with
Correct.
people, that's it.
Correct.
Alright, cool, moving on, I gotta make sure I get on track here, because not I'll fall behind in the second part. The back of that page, team, is just there for you to know, for you to kind of map out, what are your lead gen sources gonna be? How many calls you need to make per day? I already went into this topic last class, it talks about the 19 to connect and the 36 touch, so that's what's listed there. We've already had a class on that, and if you don't remember, we can share the video of the last boot camp where we went into this. Fast forward real fast for me to this page that says, looks like this, and it says 135 on it, 135. Go to that page for me. Let me know when you're all there. Everybody there?
No.
Yeah.
135, it looks like this, 135, it says 135 in the top left. Good, all right. Here's all this is simply doing for you. At the top, it says the one main business objective. That's simply your goal, and it's already set up for you. My goal is $250,000 in gross commission income, which is we said 17 deals, which I can actually do. Help me out with your calculator. I can go to the extent of putting 500,000 times 17.
8.05. 8.5.
So that's my goal. That's literally what we go up there. It's 200, it's 500,000, because that's the average commission that we utilize. Times the amount of house sales we would need to have, so $8.5 million in volume would, get us the 250,000 in gross commission income. Then it says the 3 priorities to achieve the objective. That's just simply 1, 2, 3. That's just simply your lead source. Remember, go back to the conversation we had with the last boot camp where I wrote that funnel and how we're gonna market to people. The 3 lead sources are simply what is your vehicle to meet people and be belly to belly in conversation with people? Is it the boat? Is it the dog park? Is it the coffee shop? Is it open houses? I don't care. Pick 2 or 3. That's it.
East Douglasville.
I do. I'm waiting for it to get repaired. I literally also hear what I'm told. Listen, if center console sportsman,
Oh, that's worth
23-foot sports.
That's not bad.
So no, it's a good, I'm not, I've taken, I can fit 12, I've taken 10. 10 is the amount of the max I've ever taken now. All right, let's wrap up. So 3 lead sources, that's all this is. So you're gonna write that down and then you're gonna write down 5 strategies per lead source. The strategy is simply what am I gonna do when it comes to, so for example, dog park, let's just go with that example for right now. If dog park is one of my lead sources, then maybe strategy number 1 is, visit park 4 times a week, between 5 and 7 p.m. Why? Because that's one of the busiest time in the parks, especially at Baker Park.
The main thing with this is to stay consistent.
That's strategy number 1. Strategy number 2 might be, I'm gonna have a bag on me that has dog treats in it, and everybody I meet say, hey, would you love some dog treats for your dog? And then maybe if they're organic or whatever, you can talk about that. So maybe strategy number 2 is to hand out, give 10 dog treat bags to new people I meet. That's strategy number 2.
And
Be
what
specific here.
differentiates that specifically from marketing is that.
No, that is a little bit of marketing here, because I'm gonna put my business card in there too.
Yeah.
The dog treats.
How would you get it back to lead generation?
Well, here's the thing, so let's go deeper into this, because now I'm making connection, I'm going there consistently 4 times a week, obviously I'm having that belly to belly conversation, I'm giving 10 people each visit a dog bag. I'm gonna also, put them into the database, so at this point, I would get their name and put, name in database. I might not get all the information right away. You're not going to, if you get all the information right away, day 1, you meet them, unless there's like an immediate need that came up and real estate came up and there was a reason to exchange, it may not be the first day. That's why it goes back to consistency. But the goal is to put at least the name into the database and set some type of reminder for yourself. And this goes back to the note thing I was talking about. Maybe I have command on my phone. I say, Jeff, he's the guy with the weird car, right? And he has the weird shoes on. Whatever. It's just I'm picking on you right now. It's just the memory aid to help remember Jeff. Maybe that's the 3rd step in this process.
I prefer bald and built like a fire punk.
Yeah. I think she brings up a great question. In any of the lead sources, there has to be like a plan for how are you gonna capture their information. And if it's not on the day 1, like how is it gonna happen long term? And it could happen easily for you when you stay consistent with going to the dog park, and maybe I do decide to bring a shirt. Maybe I do decide to put a magnet in my car, so when I pull up, people see, okay, he's a real estate agent.
Dog walk.
Love it,
it.
love it, love it.
So the main goal is how are you planning to get the content?
Event.
Reasoning for, I'm gonna coordinate something that's fun that you wanna be.
Yes.
Like a dog walk, see that through.
Like a dog beauty company.
Completely love that.
Wait, so you're giving their contact information because you're doing an event?
Yeah, just like.
And then you're gonna fire them off with the real estate stuff?
Well, no, then we're gonna also be, no, you wouldn't, exactly, you wouldn't have to, because you're just you're capturing their information to get them an event.
Relationship.
Yeah, that goes, thank you, you gotta build a relationship first, the business comes after. If you want, here's the thing, you guys, I only got 5 minutes, so let me finish this up. If you want right now business where it's just all business and you can go straight to it, then you need to start calling for sale by owners and expires, and that's it. If you're wanting to do relationship based because you don't want to cold call people,
Yeah.
then you're gonna have to take a relationship based approach.
Okay.
Is that where E2P comes in?
Entrepreneur to purposeful, well, where it would come in is that, you know, so there's people, like I know an agent on Marco, who she can do 10 to 13 deals with her eyes closed. And because of the price points of Marco, she's making great money, but she's stuck there. For her to do more deals than that, she would need to be more purposeful in her approach. Entrepreneurially, she can do 10 to 12, 13, no problem. She would need to show up as a different person in order to hit more. That's what EMP means. What comes natural to you, entrepreneurial, versus what you have to be more purposeful around. So for like me, for example, this would so not be entrepreneurial for me. I would have to really push myself hard on this because this is not natural for me.
Because you're more P driven.
Well, no, not so mostly P driven, because entrepreneurially, I don't care to, like, I'm not that
Engage.
passionate about dogs and going.
Oh.
But you know,
Yeah,
when you go to the park, before you
If
go,
you could do like a
smear
boat,
bacon grease on your
boat,
shoe.
there you go. There you go.
When you're there, the
All right.
dogs just naturally love you.
One more thing, and then we'll take a break. One more thing, we'll take a break. Stick with me, guys. The bad schedule versus the good schedule. Here's the thing, guys. If you worked at a bank and the bank hours were, your schedule was 8 to 5, at what time did you get the bank?
7:30.
Yeah, and you would be there 8 to 5. Why? Because that's your job. And what happens if you don't show up?
You're fired.
Okay, that's the challenge with real estate, is that no one's doing that for you, so you work whenever you want.
Yeah.
That's also what's gonna hold you back
Yeah,
and take you much longer to get into momentum. Because you're your own boss, and I'm schedule, and I do what I want.
I can sleep in and.
Oh my God. Yeah, but you're also gonna go broke and not make any sales doing that.
Oh.
So here's what most of us schedules look like. Here's not a good example of a schedule. Monday, 8:30, kids carpool, 9 o'clock, oil change, 10 to 11, lead gen, 12 to 1, bridge group, what the hell is that? Gen 411 at 1:30, closing at 2 o'clock, Pilates at 3:30, and then I got a listing appointment at 6. Tuesday, I got a doctor's appointment at 9, lead genning for another hour, it looks like 10:30, 11:30. And a lunch with Bob, I got yoga at 1:30, bunko at 3, what the hell is that? Kids carpool on Wednesday, we got a call the plumber at 9 o'clock, what the hell is that? Office meeting 10 to 11, what else do we see here? Take printer in, what the hell are we doing taking a printer at 12? We're gonna lead gen for 30 minutes at 12:30, okay. Appointments and errands, in the middle of the day, Jesus. You got your baseball game, kids baseball game at 4. Thursday, you have an ALC meeting, pick up a birthday gift at 10 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, tell me about that. You're gonna door knock for an hour at 11. You're gonna lead gen for 30 minutes at 12:30 again, you're gonna have yoga at 1:30, you're gonna have a dentist after that, then you're gonna lead gen for another 30 minutes.
yeah, that's.
Who thinks this is gonna actually happen?
That's not gonna
I
work.
love this.
Lead gen is the smallest thing.
It's not
This
gonna
is the
work.
worst schedule, and this is what most of our schedules look like. This is what most of your schedules look like right now. Why the heck are you setting up a doctor's appointment? Now, listen, doctor's appointments, I'm gonna be flexible on, because sometimes these doctors are 3 months out and that's your appointment. Okay, but why the hell are you calling a plumber? Why are you doing your oil change in the morning? Listen, it's excuses, guys. Don't give me the, oh, that's the time. No, it's not.
Who's gonna call the plumber though?
No, it's not. Somebody else call the plumber, you call the plumber in the afternoon, because here's what we know, that plumber call now just gave you an excuse not to lead gen. I'm just telling you guys, I've lived this myself, where I said, oh, I'm gonna do it in the afternoon, you never do it in the afternoon. If you're ever in that moment where you're like, oh no, I'll just get it done in the afternoon, I promise you, 95% of the time, you're never gonna do it. Never gonna do it. Now, are there times that lead gen will get done in the afternoon? Yeah, well, if my strategy is to go to the dog park 5 to 7, that's lead gen time right there. So maybe that can count as lead gen time. 5 to 7, 4 times a week. The point is this: protect your day, guys. We're doing messy things, non-productive things. So can you imagine, remember earlier when we said we had 17 working days? Can you imagine that those 17 days look like this? And that's what most of us look like.
It would be cut
That's
down.
why you're getting out of the business. That's why you're burning out and getting out of the business. Next page has a better example of what your schedule should look like. Your schedule should be boring, predictable. You start off at 8. If you have a team, that's where you would do your team meeting. If not, you're role playing basically from 8 to 9 or 8 to 8:30. Then you're gonna do lead generation for an hour. Then you're gonna do lead gen follow up then you'll do your lunch, and then you'll have your appointments. That's literally how my time block schedule looked like every single week. I predetermined my appointment blocks. Now, this person in this time block schedule, they have 11 appointment slots. We don't even need 11 appointment slots, because how many appointments did we say we need per week? In this example, 2. I need 2 appointment slots per week that I pre-generate when I can have them, that when I want to have them. Because if my daughter's in softball and it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, softball at 5, am I gonna do appointments in those slots? No, so I say to the seller, hey, I actually have another appointment at that time. Will Thursday at 3 p.m. work for you? Or Friday at 12 p.m.? Push comes to shove, okay, I'll do Saturday morning. If I know I'm going on a listing appointment, I'll do it on Saturday, there's no problem, I'll work for that. But my family comes first, so their appointment's just like everybody else's an appointment. And I'll just leave you with this final thought here, and I'm at the same time kind of picking on people. On camera too, if you're watching this. We realtors are known for never showing up on time to trainings or anything in the office. I can only imagine you're doing the same thing with sellers when you go on listing appointments and buyers when you go on showing appointments. If you are not showing up late to those appointments, stop showing up late for yourself when it comes to training. I always use this example. I guarantee you that if you had an appointment at 9 o'clock on $1 million listing and all you had to do was show up on time, you knew you got the listing, no one would ever miss that appointment. Treat your training, whatever training it is you're doing, as $1 million listing appointment. You're investing into yourself, which this group already knows. I mean, you guys have been pretty consistent coming to these, so you already know you're there. I just wanted you to hear that from me today, for those watching later on. All right, take a break. Let's get back 10:40. 10:40. So we're just briefly touching about the fact of the part or the boat, how I was leveraging the boat for lead generation. Before I had the boat, I would just have people come to the house, families come to the house and spend $100 on food at Publix and cook it. Cook some rice and beans and some chicken, grill it, and that was it. That was the other lead gen strategy to build relationships that way. Man, again, these are not with strangers. These are to strengthen the existing relationships I already have. That's how I was doing that. All right. We're back for the second half. So on this second half, we're going to focus on the listing and buyer presentation, and I'm going to show you some samples from different sources that you all have available to you. Can you give me coach sharing, please, capabilities? I can't share. Patricia, can you give me a co-host so I can share my screen?
Can share now.
Thank you. All right, so before I actually start getting into any of this, who here has a pre-listing packet or already knows what should go into a pre-listing package? So a lot of you are starting to build there, you don't have money? No. You always on top of things. Come on. All right.
My buyer.
Say again?
I need to do my.
All right, we're gonna cover both. Let me just give you guys, before I start showing you things, I just want you to get an idea of what I'm bringing with me to these presentations. So let's just focus on the listing first. So on the listing presentation, before I get to the house, let's set up, Adam and I set up an appointment. I'm gonna be coming to his house on Friday at 5 p.m. So I got some time. I'm sorry, Monday at 5 p.m. let's just say. So I'm gonna say to Adam, when we set up that appointment, say, hey, Adam, looking forward to our appointment on Monday at 5 p.m. In preparation for that appointment, Adam, I'm going to send you a package of information. I'm either going to mail it to you or I'm going to email it to you. Emailing is cheaper. Mailing it makes more of an impact, though, if you mail it or drop it off if you have a nice package. I'm going to go ahead and email a packet of information over to you for you to review before our appointment on Monday. What I'd love for you to do is just take a look at that. It's going to give you some information about myself, Keller Williams, what we do to get properties sold, our marketing strategies, and any questions that you have, I'm going to answer them for you on Monday at 5 p.m. when I come out to the appointment. Is that fair? Okay. What I'm sending out is what we call the pre-list package. I am not doing a full-on presentation at the property of the pre-list, because then it now turns that appointment of all about me versus all about them. So in that package, so we got the pre-list packet that's going out. One thing I like to include in that pre-list packet is also a blank seller's disclosure.
Wait, so the pre-list packet goes out before you go to their house?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So what I like to send out is the pre-list package. This is gonna be like basically selling, and I'll walk you through it, selling home. So like the process of selling your home. I send out a blank seller's disclosure. If applicable, I send out a blank HOA disclosure. I send out this is my system, by the way, I'm just teaching you the way I've always done it.
But
Now-
with all these disclosures, would you say to them, this doesn't need to be signed, this
I'm not
doesn't?
saying anything, I'm just sending it up. I'm sending it with them, you can do a cover letter that has instructions, but at the end of the day, it's homework. They're gonna see this, and you could explain it to them, hey, I'm gonna send you a blank seller disclosure. That simply is gonna just kind of be us disclosing the property's condition. It's gonna ask you some yes, no questions, yes or no questions. If you don't know, you check, I don't know. This is what's going on. Don't realize it. What I would say is maybe do a cover sheet. Actually, I think in one of my templates have a cover sheet. Then the cover sheet could be, hey, what's in here? So it's your cover sheet, your selling process, pre-list package. And we're gonna go into some examples because this goes even deeper. There's multiple pages inside of here. A blank seller's disclosure, a blank HOA disclosure. I used to do one that's called a getting to know you form. I used to also, and I'll show you all this stuff, guys. Then I used to also send out, what you like about your house form. And then, the last one, get to know you, what you like about your house. I think that was it. That was actually sending out. That's it.
Anything about that product new pricing, just right?
That's gonna fall into this bucket. The pre-list packet is the one that, I'm gonna go into that here in just a moment. This package is about 20 pages, or 15 pages maybe. No, this is what I'm sending out. So the way to look at it is I have a folder, and then these are all built into my folder. If it's being sent out via email, then it's just attachments in the email, these documents. So right now, these are all separate attachments in the email. And then I did forget one. Prepare home for market. That's like, hey, how to make sure your home looks good, like things to do to prep your house for how it should look and feel. That's what was going on in the pre-list packet, which most of the emphasis really being put on this document. That's the one I really emphasize on. I'm gonna show you all that here in a second.
Would you put your vendor list in this?
You could,
Yes.
yeah, you absolutely could. Yeah, you absolutely could. This goes out before the appointment. The reason is because I don't want to waste an hour on having to go through this. When realistically, the appointment's to find out their motivation to move and focusing on the price it's gonna cost their home to sell. So this is what I'm sending out in advance, to the customer. Let me show you guys some samples. So I just actually had my admin redesign one, but I'm gonna show you my original one for the last couple of years that look at Buddha, but it did the job. So no judgment. This is in my personal files. Let me go with the listing presentation. I'm gonna show you that first. So here's the pre-list packet for sellers. I had a folder, which is kind of pretty much everything ready to go. Let me show you the old one. So let me start with the first thing, the pre-list. Here's the cover letter. Actually, so I had a cover letter that was pre-generated, and then I would just modify it. I just set the appointment time, all that was in there. So that's my cover letter. All this will be made available to you guys as well. So that was the first document. What did I say? The next one, preparing your home for sale. So this is this one, preparing your home. I'm sorry, listing and selling your home was the next package. That's the actual, most of the meat and potatoes of the pre-list package. And in here, simple cover. Again, it looks Buddha compared to the new one. The new one looks a lot better. It was a getting to know us. Value partnerships. This is where I would talk about the fact that I have connections with, again, photographers, title attorney, lenders, home inspections, just kind of who I work with. Then I would go into a YKW. All this stuff you guys are going to recognize because you probably have already seen these documents somewhere else. I just rebranded it in a different format. Y. Keller Williams, track record of sales. So write this down. What you guys should be writing down right now is you have a cover, you have a get to know us, you have Valley Partnerships, you have Y. Keller Williams. Then I put a track record of sales. When I didn't have any sales, I just didn't have this one. But you could take sales from the office. You could write down some sales from our office. Then I did client reviews. quick customer reviews that I had. Most of these are all probably from year one. Then for there, I went into the marketing strategies. These pictures are literally pictures of just my first couple of listings that I sold.
What if you don't have any buyers reviews?
Then you just want to have that right now. But one thing I would encourage you to do, I remember I even had past clients of Best Buy, people I used to work with, even reviews on just my character. So I would even at least try to get some reviews on that. Then I went into the marketing strategy. The first thing that was on there was, I guess you don't really have to write all this down because I'm going to share it with you. I'm just giving you an outline because I'm going to give you a couple of different ones for you to kind of look at just to get ideas. You'd be either probably going to use Google Drive, because it might be too big of a file to send them out. I'm not sure yet, but it'll be via email.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yep. So then this one was reaching buyers. This one just went into kind of where buyers found the home, and it just kind of shows the point that 51% of buyers find the home on the internet. So then I went further into like, hey, your property is going to be on over 750 websites. I just went into that advantage of working with us. Then I had preparing your listing for sale. So things that we're going to need to do on the exterior, interior, and for showings. Then I went into key market factors that, dictated pricing. So we went into price, condition, competition, timing, location, terms. I think I might have one out that I want to show you. Might be one new one. It went over here into market factors that are within your control. So obviously your pricing is in your control, condition, staging, availability for showings, and then there's factors that are outside of your control: competition, buyer, seller's market, interest rates. And when the perfect buyer walks through the house, we don't control that. And went into how the right price is important, because with the right price, and the first 4 weeks of being on the market, I'm sorry, this is like very super. There we go. It went into how in the first couple of weeks on the market, you're going to see the most activity level when you first hit the market, and when most offers are received between 4 and 6 weeks. If you're not getting an offer there, your reality is you're going to go stale because the activity starts to go down as the weeks go by. So that goes into that. Then here I went into the right price attracts buyer. You guys have probably seen Jeff present something similar to this. I think he did when he did the CMA class on Monday. So when you're at market value, you're attracting about 60% of the buyer pool. When you overprice it 10%, you're attracting less buyers, 30% of the buyer pool. When you overprice it by 15%, you're attracting less than 10% of the buyer pool. When you underprice it below market value, you attract more buyers, and that's where generally you get above list price offer. So I'm just educating them right now on everything.
You still go over the listing presentation just a little bit when you know, not at all.
I'm going to walk you guys through what happens after you see what's in here.
Okay.
My process. Other people have other processes.
Did broker Jeff send us the ones from?
I don't know.
I checked my email.
That's what I meant.
I don't know. I'm going to send you guys my stuff. Some of the stuff that I'm going to send you, you guys already have access to. Not so much this one, because this is my personal one. Then I go into price and misconceptions here. And remember, I'm already asking them to read this in advance, and then I'm going to answer any questions. And then I'll cover more on this later. I just want you to see the outline for right now. So this one goes about pricing misconception, that pricing your home is not what you paid for. It's not what you need. It's not what you want. It's not what your neighbor says. It's not what another agent says. It's not the cost to rebuild today. It's literally, it's the market. It's the comps. The comps are going to ultimately decide your price. And then here I just went into this is again something for me, listing procedures, like next steps, basically, once we're ready to start working together. What I'm going to need from them, and then that was it. That was on this pre-listing, and this was my back cover. So that's what I had on my original version that I had. And then let me just show you a couple of things in this file, because this is essentially what I'm going to share with you guys are these templates, my old templates. So you have it as an outline, but I don't suggest using it. So I would redesign it, look a lot better. Blank disclosures, you already know where to find those. Those are in DocuSign. Getting to know you. So I used to send this. A simple getting to know you form: birthday, spouse's name, children's name, favorite stuff. And I would just put that into my database, and I would leverage it when the opportunity came to do something special. Maybe it was part of a closing gift, or maybe somebody messed up and left their doors unlocked, and I want to apologize. And I sent them a box of their favorite candy. My apologies, just to get to know them. And the other one was, what do you like about your home? What do you like about your home? It's this one. What are 5-10 things about your home that you love and community that you love? It's likely someone would love these things too. This would help me with my property description by them highlighting what they love most about the property. And then the last one was prepare the home for market, which was this one. And it was just a one pager. It's kind of it's almost the same thing that's in the presentation. It's just like, hey, exterior of the home, kitchen, bathroom is what I need you to do to prepare the house for the market. So that is all that was being sent out in advance, and I bring a copy with me in case that they didn't review it and I need to answer some questions, concerns that I need to address, and the answers are in the package. So you still bring a copy with you. The goal in a perfect world is that they review it in advance and they have no questions, so that now you can focus on the presentation, which I'm gonna give you an outline of what the presentation would look like.
When you're in person, maybe like a slideshow.
You're gonna see that I don't do that. I don't even bring a computer. I do for the fact that, actually I don't. Just even the contract, I bring a paper contract. I don't send it on DocuSign. I bring a physical contract with me. When they're ready to list with me, I want them to sign it right there, because the moment I don't have them sign right there, they can change their mind when I leave. Say it again.
Someone else could.
And somebody else can come in, that too, somebody else can come in and take it. So you walk out with a physical signed contract. So again, I'm gonna share all those documents with you. Let me show you another version. So I just had, some marketing person redesigned this one for me that's in Canva. Let me just hit preview. So this one looks a lot better now. It's a little more, it's rebranded with my new logo. And so it's a nice little table of content and what they're gonna find in there. A lot of the same stuff we just talked about. I'm gonna go through a little bit quicker. This is all about you. My promise to them, getting to know us. Like Keller Williams, a lot of the same stuff, track records, client reviews, all the same stuff we really saw, what we deliver. The home selling process, getting ready to list your property, and I go through a couple of different things there. So a lot of what you saw from the previous one. I might condense this down a little bit. Then I go into the marketing of property, and I'm probably gonna end up switching this photo. Actually, no, that photo's good. The right price is important. There's that. You guys recognize that? I think you just saw that a second ago. So I just rebranded the look and feel of it, so it looks nicer. That's all. This one I added in. This one is something Jeff always shares with us that Denny Grimes does. That's like literally gold right there. So I decided to add that into mine as well. The 3 outcomes when we list the property. Preparing your listing for sale. This is my little checklist that you guys saw from before. These are some other questions I have for them. So I want to know what homeowner association, who I need to contact is, their insurance, utilities, like just some basic information of common things that get asked when you list a property. And that's it. So that's the new version of this, what I just showed you. I'm probably going to redesign these 3 just to follow that look and feel, the theme of it. But other than that, it's the same stuff. I just redid it. So that's in Canva that we did that one. You guys can do the same thing, go in Canva to design. Another thing you guys could do is you have, if you don't know, you have this, you do. If you go to your onboarding email, when Michael, with Scott Leroy onboarded you and you got your command and your DocuSign and all that, in there was also Michael Lewis Marketing Suite. If you don't have it, you can email me and then I'll get with the right person at Michael Lewis to reset you up. This is something the office has access to. Michael Lewis is a platform that, so I'm in my account right now where you can do postcards, flyers, hangers. You can design things in there and have them printed by them and sent to you. But they have a whole tab that's called free stuff. And in there, they have some presentations. So like, for example, here's a traditional listing presentation in English and Spanish. I want to download the traditional one. It's going to download a file, the zip file. Let's go ahead and open up that zip file. I'm just showing you all the different ways that you can go about getting this done. Go look at your onboarding email from Scott Leroy Marketing, and in there they would have your login for this. If you don't find it, whatever reason, you can actually email support@scottleroymarketing.com and ask them, hey, I'm looking through my onboarding email and I don't see my login for Michael Lewis Marketing Suite. Could you please reset me? I think I have to Oh, crap, I don't have PowerPoint on this computer. Let me do something real quick so I can show you guys this. Let's do file. There we go. If you have PowerPoint on your computer, it would open up normal, but I didn't.
Do you use MS Office products or do you use like Google Sheets?
Mostly Google. I was just on this computer. We don't have it. I have that on my computer though too. Let me just upload that file again. This Google has the Google Drive can open it. There we go. So here's the traditional listing presentation that Michael Lewis has as a template for you. So you can start to modify that one as well. This is an PowerPoint, so it's pretty easy to modify. I noticed some presentations have the prepared for exclusive. I mean, you could do that. It's almost equivalent to having the cover sheet. I guess you just have to customize it to each person you're sending it to. There's the about you section. These are some past sales. That's the why Keller Williams, or that's their testimonials. Then this one goes into pricing strategy, marketing, or marketing strategies, digital marketing strategies, why Keller Williams, Keller Williams worldwide, and then that's it. So this is actually even simpler version of a presentation. So you can send even that one, just again modify KW Naples, but if you have a personal brand, put your personal brand on it. But it's pretty easy to work with these and redesign it. So that's Michael Lewis, and there's one in Spanish for you. If you speak Spanish and need one for Spanish speakers. Go back to free stuff again. So just hang out in the free stuff and just download what you're looking for. There's email signatures in there as well. There's a buyer consultation in there. I won't download that one. I'll just show you my version of what I have, but I just wanted to show you one other place you can go. And then the last place that you can go to get a presentation is writing command. So I already pulled up KW Command. I went and designed a new design, and I did a print design. And on the left-hand side, I just went to listings. I clicked on listing presentation. And then there's a couple of templates that you can use. So let's say I want to use this template here. I click use. And this template has, the bottom right, you'll see, okay, it has 29 pages. I like to open it up, and then page 2 is instructions. So I just delete that because I don't need instructions. And then I start to modify it. Like it could be, if you're going to do it for each customer specific, then modify that particular page. But here there are some other templates or other content that you can add to your presentation. I personally am not a fan of sending out like this type of data in a pre-list package, so I don't do that. So maybe you would, yeah, well, maybe you just exclude it, and maybe you want to use some other parts like, hey, here's how we find buyers. The point is this: go through them and pick the one you like. It doesn't really matter. Pick the one you like. The one I used, the cheap looking one at first I showed you, I did it in minutes. I was like, listen, I just need to get something done.
But I think yours looks more like personable than the command one, because I viewed the command one, and now just looking at the one that you have,
Yeah.
I mean,
Here's what I agree with you, and I didn't redesign is the whole point though. I just took that content, literally copied and pasted.
because command is so wordy that I guarantee you people do not read it.
Oh.
I mean, I would shock.
Maybe. But that's what I'm sending out is what I just showed you, the new version now that I showed you, but I'll share my old stuff and I'll share the new one as well.
Love it.
It's just to give you an idea. That's all I'm really looking to do is give you guys an idea of what to do. Yeah.
Do you have to have the client's name and address, or can you have one that is like for everyone?
That's what I do. I do one that's for everybody. I don't like
You
personalizing
can
it.
delete the address page.
But
If
you
you
can
wanna
also
do-
just put XXX and personalize it if you
No,
want, but you
I
don't have
I
to.
don't want to do that.
Then you have to edit it before.
It's no work.
I at that point I just have a separate cover letter if I really want to do a cover letter.
But if you're trying to list a $2.1 million home and they want their name on it, you better.
Oh, yeah.
Well, here's the thing, if they want, you wouldn't even know if they want their name on it. That's up to you. how you want to do your
You're gonna
presentation.
know the bougie ones for.
Well, I'm saying, they're not gonna tell you that though, this is just, it's your process, it's your process thing, this is where all of us accomplish the same thing, A to Z in the transaction. How we do it and how the experience is where you get to make yourself different, you pick how you wanna do it. What I have found up to this point for me, transparency, I'm not selling $3 million homes. If I would just make sure I take my new version of the presentation. And really what I've come to realize that it's less about, and somebody else may tell you otherwise, to me, it's less about like, to me, this is my opinion on it, like me printing up high quality card stocks of stuff I do. I don't know if that's gonna ultimately get me a listing. I really don't care about that stuff. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. If I have a sample, I'll bring it to people with me, but up to this point, I guess, in my career, it's never been that. People are doing business with me with what I know and whether they connect with me or not.
Right.
That's the reality of it. Or the commission. And when they know that you know your stuff, commission becomes less of a hassle. Right. And I rarely do that and get objections on it. I had one recently where they agreed to the 6%, and then they called me and like, hey, can you take a 0.5% away from the buyer side? They didn't even ask me to take it off my side. When actually asked me to list it at 5.5, oh yeah, I'll do it. But they already knew that meant that was gonna offer it to the buyer side at 2.5. I said I wouldn't go any lower than that though, because if you go lower than that, we're definitely gonna be below what everybody else is offering. But they didn't
People don't
ask
wanna
me
show
to do
your
it.
homes.
They kept me at 3%, said, hey, can you give the buyer a 0.5% less? And they were good with that.
Were you okay with that?
I'm getting my 3%. I'm getting my 3%.
But it's just a lot of agents would look at that and.
They'll take it.
Listen, listen, y'all can't say, y'all, the agents in the world can't say crap, you know why? Because y'all taking 2% commissions and you're offering that now to us.
Exactly.
I really don't care, you're getting 2.5, that's great.
Okay,
Enjoy it.
hey, chill with it, I'm just asking a question.
Just offer it.
But you never know.
I don't want someone now, what is it that you're doing?
Yeah, right?
As the listing agent, you don't know how, like the buyer side, they don't know how much work you had to put into
Yeah, they don't.
listing, you know.
I think it should be 4 too.
The property.
I'm great you think that.
From a listing agent,
Oh,
you should get.
I see what you're saying, yeah, I like that too. I heard something else. That was about to fight you.
Marketing and all kinds of stuff.
No, I'm with you. Hey, listen, that's your part, your business, how you want to structure yourself now. You get to figure that part out. I'm just giving you the tools you need to have ready to send out when you get that listing appointment. So I showed you Michael Lewis, I showed you Command. I'm going to share with you my personal templates, and you now figure out what you're going to present and what you're going to do. That's that. And then I've already shared what goes out, like the full piece. Now, before I go to the buyer side, I just kind of want to give you my outline for the presentation. My outline. What did I say? My outline. If you take 10 agents, well, no, it can't be yours if that's what you want it to be. The point is this: every agent that you talk to, they're going to have a different format of how they present. The format I present has been the format that I learned in Bold. I took my first Bold in March of 2017, and basically I've never changed it ever since. Never changed it. So simply, and I'm kind of going off memory here. I actually have the outline in a template, but thankfully my first step is welcome. And maybe in the future for like role playing coaching, maybe this is where we can actually role play it.
Wait,
So
what are we going over again?
I'm going through what my outline at the house.
At the house.
Like it's now 5 o'clock on Monday. We're going on a presentation with Adam. We've already I'll send them our pre-list
Can you send
package.
it by email the day before or 2 days before?
As long as as much time as I have in advance. Yep. So this is we're
We're
now,
listing the house? I'm sorry.
we're now at the house at the listing
Okay,
appointment.
okay.
We're at it's 5 o'clock at Adam's house now. We got the listing appointment. So first thing is welcome. So I'm at the door. I'm on time. I'm on time. I'm on time, and then literally I'm knocking the door. Hey, Adam, George Ray is here with Keller Williams. We had an appointment at 5 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock, man. Come in. That's it. Hey, Adam, I know it's a very important decision to list your house with me tonight, and I respect your time. Maybe we sit at the kitchen counter. Okay. And we're gonna go to the kitchen counter. Before I sit at the kitchen counter, I'm gonna take a little quick tour of the house. And I'd like to ideally take this tour of the house by myself, because in the meantime, I'm gonna say, hey, I noticed you had the package of information. If I sent it to them, if I emailed it, I may say, hey, did you get a chance to look at the package of information I sent you? Yes or no, it doesn't matter. Well, hey, here's a copy anyways, take a look at it. I'm gonna take a quick tour of the house so that I can see the house from the eyes of the buyer. Later, once you list your house with me, we'll take a walk through the house together and you'll show me all the beautiful things that you've done that we want to make sure that we highlight in the property description. Two things are gonna happen. They're gonna say, go ahead, I'll meet you back in the kitchen. I'll start looking at what you gave me here. Or they're gonna say, well, can I take you with, can I go with you? I'm not gonna fight you. The script in bold back then said, no, there was a whole objection on how to handle that objection to get them to stay. I don't care. All right, come with me, let's go. But we're going fast. I'm not gonna spend 30 minutes.
Why are you self-touring?
Because I truly do want to see, because that first off, I'm gonna be faster, that's why. If I go with them, they're gonna be like, oh, I did this, and here's this because of furniture, I bought this in the trip, and did this, and then. I don't care about any of that, I just wanna see what the buyers are gonna say, okay, this one's gonna need this one's gonna need this. Wow, there's a leak right there, so it's minutes for me, less than that, it's gonna be real fast, but we get out four or something, they're gonna take forever. But I'm not also, yeah, bless you, I'm also not gonna fight with them, if they're very adamant about it, okay, sure, come, let's go. Point is, touring the house. Then you're back to the table. You're gonna say some beautiful things like, hey, wow, love the green shag carpet, whatever. Give them some compliments on the house, so there's something to compliment. Then you go into like what I like to start off with is like 3 outcomes of our meeting. So there's essentially gonna be 3 outcomes of our meeting today, Adam. We're gonna go through your motivation to sell this property. And decide on a price that's gonna cost it to sell. And when we do that, either you're gonna list your property with me, which I'm really excited to do that for you. You may choose not to list your property for me. Maybe I'm not the right agent. Hopefully that's not the case, Adam. Or I may choose not to take your listing on at this time. Is that fair?
Can you repeat that one more time?
I don't know what I just said.
What is that?
Yeah, he does.
I do have a recording though. Remember that though. So don't try to keep up, but here I will say it again. I will say it again though. So Adam, thank you. I have a great deal of respect for your time. We're here right now. So tonight, we're gonna have a discussion about your motivation to sell this property, and we're gonna talk about the right price that's gonna cost your house to sell. And really, there'll be 3 outcomes once we've gone over that. You're either going to list your property with me, and I'm really looking forward to get to work for you. You may choose not to hire me as as your agent, and hopefully that's not the case. Or I may choose not to take your listing at this time. Is that fair?
Is that when you get tied down?
You could. I mean,
Down if that's fair.
yeah, that's a tie down. Yeah.
Is there any other alternative verbiage that's discussed for I may choose not to?
Yeah, so I say fair enough. Well, yes, I say fair enough, and as I was waiting for somebody to say something. Say something like how most people would probably respond to that. Or I may choose not, or I might choose not to take your listing at this time. Is that fair? What would you potentially say to that if that kind of got you to think?
Yeah, that depends on what it is.
What would the seller say, you think?
I think the seller would say like, why would you not take my list?
I would be insulted, honestly, if you said that to me, I'd be like, all right, well, we're done then.
Yeah, well, yeah, we might not be the right fit for each other.
Sure.
Yeah, we just might not be the right fit.
But I could avoid that by using a slightly less inflammatory.
Maybe like, it's
It's
not,
really not inflammatory. If you look at
I
it,
would definitely find that,
If you
if you
watch-
said that to me, we are done.
if you watch the Nickelodeon video for buyers, it's the same it's. the
Listen,
same thing.
it is the same, thing, and here's my reality, Here's my reality, if, in the real world, I kid you not, in the real world, if you had a problem with that, we just wouldn't work together. That's it, I would move on.
If that deal breaker could be changed with a slightly different verbiage.
maybe we're not.
You can choose
able
to-
Do business together?
No, well, you can change it if you want, you can do what you want, I'm just showing you my
I'm
way.
just wondering if it's been, I don't wanna reinvent the wheel.
No one's ever
Other
reacted to me the way you're saying that you would react.
It sounds fair. I made you.
And I've been doing this since,
Yeah, no one just.
and I've been doing it since 2017, this way. Generally, what they'll say is, well, what do you mean by that? Well, it's a good question, and sometimes sellers either choose a price that I know won't cause their home to sell, or they'll choose me to do marketing that I know won't get the property sold, so I'd rather let you down now than let you down later.
I like where the question,
Yeah.
like where it's going, I just can't get on board with that exact phrase.
All
So I just wanted to know if we already had some other scripts that said the same message in a different way.
So, a general answer to this is this also though. Ignite is probably the best scripts you guys can probably go find right now. I'm doing bold scripts because I've taken bold 9 times, and that's what I learned in 2017, and that's what I still do today. You don't know those scripts yet. It doesn't matter though what script you use. It's just figure out the script you want to use and master that script. So if that one doesn't work for you, go find one that will sound better for you. But here's the thing, it doesn't sound good to you because you just don't know it yet. You've never spoken in that way, but I'm gonna promise you this, the people that wrote these scripts are smarter than us, and they took a lot of listings, which is why they have that script. Because when I remember, I don't know if I ever shared this with you guys, when I first started, before I was with Keller Williams, I took Tom Ferry scripts, I took Mike Ferry scripts, I took Kevin Ward scripts, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound like me, and I literally rewrote my own scripts using a combination of what I liked, and I just wasted days and weeks doing that. It was stupid, because I never even ended up using them. Yeah, I internalized none of them.
Because you're too nice.
Huh?
Because you're too nice. I think those 3 are kind of pushing, but you're too nice, you really.
I think it's all tonality. Let's keep it going. All tonality. So, those are the 3 outcomes. Then from there, hold on, wait till everyone's with me. Well, also, because you guys gotta remember, we're recording, so like the speaker picks us all up right now. So let's just want to stay on track. All right, so there's 3 outcomes for our meeting today. Then from there, what I like to do is I go into the market stats. And you could, before you actually do that, say, so I noticed you have the package of information that I printed up for you, that I sent over to you. Did you have any questions? So you could technically, before the market stats, answer questions from the package. If they have any up to this point, they may have some that come up later on throughout the presentation. Then I go into market stats. So Adam, have you heard of buyer's seller's market, and do you know which one we're in?
Mix.
Oh,
We're in a mix.
okay, Adam, you're Adam, okay. I was waiting for that. Well, no, but here's the thing. The sellers are not gonna say. The sellers, and I, this is a question for the sellers, for us to know what the seller understands about the market. All I know is I wanna know what they think, and then I'm gonna give them reality. So I'm gonna present to them the market. So I'm gonna present to them typically what Jeff provides us, months of inventory. I'm gonna present the list price to close price ratios. I'm gonna present to them absorption rate. I'm gonna have that conversation right in line with months of inventory. So I'm out of order a little bit, but I'm gonna talk to them about months of inventory and absorption rate. I'm gonna talk about the list price to close price ratio. And I'm also gonna talk to them about active versus sold homes. And I'm just gonna have a very general conversation with them using these data points to explain to them what's actually happening in the local market, such as Collier County, and then dive into their neighborhood if the information is different. For example, local Collier County for this says we're in a seller's market.
Yeah.
Data point for Naples Park says we're in a buyer's market. So I present both. To give them an understanding of what the market's doing. Then from there, it's a very simple question. Do you know how buyers determine value? Do you know how buyers determine value? What do you think a consumer, you guys are all consumers, so how do buyers determine value?
Location.
Huh?
Location.
Okay, what else? I can't spell.
The home.
So,
Condition
say it, condition,
of the home.
what else?
Location.
Condition, location, what else?
Market.
Market.
I don't know what you mean by that. Okay, so I'll write it down, comps. Features, would features be something?
Yeah.
Right, think about how buyers make decisions, right? Features, right? That list can go on, but simply what I'm doing here is I'm asking the question. So Adam, do you know how buyers determine value? Right? And they're gonna say whatever they're gonna say, and it might be a great answer, and it might be a shitty answer. When it's a bad answer, or even if it's a great answer, you're absolutely right. So, just like anything else, Adam, let's use a car as an example, and you can use whatever product as an example. I think some of you have heard me say this. So, I noticed you had a 4Runner, Toyota 4Runner. It looks pretty new, a nice 4Runner outside. So let's use that as an example, Adam. So imagine when you were shopping for that 4Runner, if you went to the Naples Toyota dealership. I don't even know if there is one in Naples. Okay, so if you went to the Naples Toyota dealership for that 4Runner, they had the nice platinum package, so it had all the bells and whistles. And then you went, it was listed, they had it for sale for, let's say, for $60,000. But then you went, actually, let me take it backwards. It's not the platinum package, it's the regular. So you always start with the lower tier. It's not the platinum package. So you have the tier down from the platinum version, and then it's listed for $60,000. If you were to go to the Toyota dealership in Fort Myers, but they have the same car, but with the platinum package, there's the next trim up, there's some additional features on it, and they have it listed for $60,000. Which one would you buy? The one in Fort Myers. Why?
Better deal.
Value,
Deal.
more features, has more for the same price. Now, Adam, if you did not care about all the little bells and whistles that the platinum version has, and you went back to the Naples Toyota, what would you expect them to do with the price of theirs that is not the platinum one?
Lower the price.
Lower the price. Buyers are no different. They're gonna look at your home and other homes in the market. They're gonna compare the features and benefits, and they're gonna determine which one has the most value. So let's go look now at how we're gonna win that competition. Let's go look now at how we're gonna win that competition, and that's where I start getting into comps. Now here, I don't print an elaborate comp CMA presentation. Do you guys remember when Jeff talked about the quick CMA?
Yeah.
That's all I bring with me.
Really?
I bring a quick CMA with me. Again, this is my way. I learned this from Tony Oprenbeck, which has been on Denny Grimes' top listing agent for the last 7 years since I've been at KW.
Wow.
Tony makes over $300,000 every single year.
You just do a quick.
I do a quick CMA, and what I bring with me, so I do a quick CMA. And obviously in the CMA, I bring with me the actives. I bring with me pending, like that's what's in the report, and I bring with me the sold. Now, what I like to do is bring specifically 3 to 5, depending on how many you need. 3 is usually enough, but let's just call it 3 to 5 active listings.
Oh,
I'm bringing active listings because I want to see, and here's the thing, I got to be strategic about this. If I say,
that's what.
yes, it's your competition, and but there's one more thing here, because of the market we're in right now, there's a lot of unrealistic people. So I may have to bring actives with me, and I may have to also bring a couple sold with me that's already on the quick CMA.
So,
But maybe I want them to see the pictures of these properties. So what I do is bring the customer information sheet with pictures.
okay, that's what I was gonna ask.
I bring the
So you
cus-
wouldn't bring your computer, you would have something.
I don't like that.
printed?
I don't like that. I don't like it because it broke one time on me and it made me look very silly, and therefore I stopped doing it. So I kill a lot of trees by printing a lot of paper. So I bring three sold with me, and I bring some of the actives with me. So these actives, I'm only bringing them with me if they're realistic. If they're realistic comps, and they're right in the range of where we should be priced, then I am gonna bring them with me. I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna show them each one of those comps. I'm gonna be like, all right, so let's take a look at a couple of homes for sale, so we can figure out the price that's gonna cause your home to be one of the ones that sells. Because remember, over here, I've already talked to them about the fact that only 1 in 5 homes are selling. That's an actual true stat right now. That's what absorption rates are saying right now. So when I go here, I'm like, all right, let's figure out, now that we know how buyers determine value, let's figure out how to win that competition. Let's look at a couple homes that are for sale and figure out where would you price your home in relation to those homes. That's where the fun begins. Either they're like real and they see the facts and they're gonna price it accordingly, or they're not. And when they're not, then I generally just go to the sold ones and say, hey, well, now look at some of the ones that sold here. You know, 123 Main Street is actually just like your house. And it's sold for X. So you have to, I do the quick CMA and then I study the heck out of it. So when they say to me, oh, well, that one had, I'm like, yeah, but see, the thing is, that one had the updated kitchen, updated floors, updated bathrooms. Like, I've already looked at the pictures, and I usually print 2 quick CMAs, one that I'm gonna give to them and one that has all my notes, where I literally wrote down this one had this one had that, so that I already know why these houses sold for what they did. So when they object, I can speak to it.
So when we're in a certain market where it's kind of like home prices are falling, but they're in the process of falling, How can you beat that? Because the adults are actually gonna play against you.
Yeah, well, that's where I look at the actives and pendings. So when you're looking at your quick CMA, this is actually a conversation I had to have with this gentleman, because like, hey, listen, I know these sold for this, but look how many are active right now that are sitting on the month, 3 or 4 months, not selling. We're gonna look at the competition, what they're doing, so we can price ourselves accordingly, but I think the more important data that we need to keep in mind right now are the pending homes, because the pending homes don't tell us exactly what it's sold for, but it does tell us a price point that a buyer said, hey, I'll go look at it, and hey, I'll buy an offer, and a seller said, hey, yeah, I'll negotiate an offer with you, a deal with you. It was close enough. But when you're so far off and no one's giving you an offer anywhere in range, and you guys are not meeting in the middle, or you're just not getting any offers at all, like, you're just overpriced, period.
Yeah.
More than half the battle is literally just pricing the home right. Does staging help? Yes. The professional photography needs help. Yeah. Does marketing help? Yes. Does open houses work? Yeah. All that helps to give it exposure. But at the end of the day, if you have the wrong price, you're just promoting the wrong price and spinning your wheels. Price is everything. I have lost listings because they don't like my price. Your decision to list your property with me is based on the fact, do I know the market? Do you like my marketing strategies? Do you like what we do to get homes sold? Do you feel like you and I can work together as a team? It is not, your decision to list with me is not based on the commission, and is not based on the price that I give you. Because if it was based on the price that I give you, I could just say, hey, yeah, it's worth 500,000, when in reality we know it's worth 250. But what did I just do? I overpromised that I underdelivered. I'm never going to sell that house at 500,000. All I'm going to do is bank on the fact that you might just get tired and say, Jordis, drop it. But some other sellers would say, so no, you're done. I'm going to fire you and hire somebody else and let that person reap the benefits. There's agents that are taking overpriced listings, banking and counting on the fact that you're going to give up and finally let me drop the price to what I know is reality. And there's also a lot of agents who have a crap ton of expired listings. I'm not saying they're taking the same strategy, but I always wonder, well, why are you taking these listings? Well, because they're attracting more listings and more buyers, because the perception is they're top agents. And I'm not saying they're not, they have some good numbers out there, but they also have a lot of expireds because they take a lot of overpriced listings.
Yeah, that's great. That's mind-boggling to me. Because if you take a listing, you're taking it to sell it because the homeowner wants to sell it. So it's like, and then they expire. So so do they expire because the price is too high, or they expire because?
There's many reasons a home can expire. The top reason is it was overpriced and it showed horrible, or it didn't even show at all. I've seen tenant occupied properties where good luck trying to show it. Can't ever get in.
Wow.
But most of the time it's pure overpriced.
So back over here, you were saying on step 6, you would bring all these different things, that's to try and educate and reinforce how you arrived at your decision being the price. But
which up to this point, by the way, I haven't given them a price.
I haven't yet, but when you speak to the pending subject, you could show the visual, the paper, but this is pending. But is there any line to cross if you were to call the pending agent and say, hey, what did you actually get? What number?
They're not going to tell you.
They're not going to tell you.
No, they're not going to tell you.
Yeah, I don't want to compromise.
They're not going to tell you. And I generally only have to really get deeper into this when they give me a price that I know is outrageous. And that I know won't get home to sell, then maybe I have to analyze it. Up to this point, once I've educated them, some sold and some actives, I ask them, and I have a number, I have a range, like Jeff says, that I write down on the back and up my sheet in real small print. And when they hit that number, like it's like perfectly in my range, I'm like, wow, you guys are awesome. Look at that. And I turn my sheet around, I show them mine, give them a little fist bump. You guys, we're ready. When can we do the photos? I mean, literally, what else do we have to talk about? Your price isn't my price. It's the same. We like each other up to this point. And so I'm doing a soft close. Like, hey, when can I set up the photos? Are mornings or afternoons better for you?
After 6.
No, I wouldn't do that. But...
No, after number 6, I mean, no.
Yeah. And then, so
That's what I'm saying.
as for price here, if they are on board, move on and close. That's it. There's nothing else to discuss. And if there's any objections, it's generally, the price is too high, and now we have to have an entire conversation on price. And then, obviously, I don't have all the time in the world today to go very deep here, but here's what I'm gonna encourage you to do. Shift book, like Gary Keller, the shift book. I forgot what shift tactic it is, but it's the one pricing ahead of the market, pricing strategy. Read that chapter and get really good at those graphs. It's very similar to the graphs that Jeff showed last week about what happens when you trail the market down. So on one seller recently, I had to have that. I literally had to draw it out in the presentation with them. Say, here, if you overprice it by X, here's what's gonna happen. And then literally, I did the whole trailing the market thing. You have to be able to, be comfortable drawing that. And that's it, like, this is literally my outline.
And so do you just slide here, go ahead and sign them?
Yep, and then I have already the paper contract with me. And all right, we're ready to work, so 350, great, we're on the same page, 350, and it's already pre-filled out. I just have to put in my dates, the price, I'll sign it, give it to them to sign, then we'll wrap up the seller, we wrap up the seller's disclosure, the HOA disclosure. Sometimes I don't even collect it right then. I say, hey, I'm gonna leave this with you. When I come back, I'll pick it up then.
How do you guys talk about your commission? How does that work?
I don't talk about it.
Okay, okay.
So here's what it is. No, so actually, here's what I mean by that. What I mean by that is that when I then flip the contract around, I write in the dates, I write in the price, and then I just walk them through the contract. I walk them through all the stuff I filled out in the contract. It's gonna be 6% commission, 3% we're gonna share with the buyer's agent, and I just keep blowing. I don't even stop.
Okay, good, that's good.
Some will stop you, some won't. I get more people that don't stop me than I do that do stop.
If everything goes good and their price is the same as yours, and they wanna sign the contract, do you still go through their motivation?
No, and I kind of remember back over here, this is where we kind of covered motivation, right before the 3 outcomes of the meeting. So Adam, what we're gonna talk today about is, your motivation to sell this house and agree on the price it's gonna cost to sell, 1 of 3 things are gonna happen. I kind of forgot to mention that, so thank you. In here, we're gonna keep the conversation going on motivation. So thank you for bringing that up. In here, we're gonna keep talking about, because at this point, I probably know a little bit about why Adam's moving, but I wanna go deeper, and or if there's a spouse that wasn't on that phone call, now I can bring the spouse into the conversation and go deeper with them as well. So that'll happen in step 3. Thank you for mentioning that. Then we go into the market size. Because at this point, with the information that I'm gathering here about why they have to sell, I can bring that up here when they start picking prices that are unrealistic. Hey, Adam, I get it, and I can maybe revisit about how pricing is done and not done. So pricing misconception for the fearless package. Adam, you mentioned multiple times to me that it is super important for you to be in Tampa by the end of September, which really means you need to get this property on the market like yesterday. We got to get under contract and somehow close in September, which, hey, it's going to be tough. We might be realistically be looking at October, but if we don't price it right to begin with, we have no chance. We have no chance. You're going to have to now have a mortgage, and you're going to have to pay for that rental as well. And you said you don't want to do that. Let's do the right thing and pick the right price, so you don't have those 2 payments, especially going into the holiday season, which you mentioned is important too.
That's good.
That's it. So, let's see my time. Questions on this before I shift over to the buyer side? Good.
How long? I feel like this is a long
Less than an
time.
hour.
What?
Less than an hour.
If you do it right and if you're focused.
I'm gonna full transparency. The last conference meeting I went to, those have done that Lucid House open house for me. I didn't even send the package. Full transparency. I went right into my presentation.
What if they have a lot of?
Yeah, you're going in with a little cockiness. I got
Did
it.
the Calusa house sell?
Well, no.
No, but I'm just saying, you're just confident in this
No.
process, where I feel like for me, I need to be like, okay, we gotta go to the next
So
one.
here's
I'll stop.
here's what I would ask all of you as it relates to that. If you're not role playing more than 4 to 5 hours a day on these presentations, then that's why. And you're gonna take years to get confidence if you don't role play 4 to 5 hours a week at least. There was another, you made a comment and somebody else made a comment at the same time.
I just got a question
So
about.
go here.
Property.
Okay,
Did the Calusa property get the deal?
no, not yet, when we're actually doing a price change later today. So be on the lookout if you guys are interested. Was there another one? Okay.
I said, what if they have too many questions?
Too many questions?
Yeah.
I'll answer them, but she's not that much. I always try to do an hour appointments or less, honestly, mostly because I do the appointments after hours, after 5, and I want to get home later. So I go quick. And even then, like, you know, when I went to that house, I'm like, it's like 6:45, I'm trying to get out of here. I did my little sheet of the property, tile, carpet, and I knew I was gonna come back to the property at least one more time. So I just went real quick. I said, hey, listen, guys, fill out the seller's disclosure. When I come back, I'll take care of that. I'll grab that from you. Boom, boom, boom. So I just like less than an hour. If you're there more than an hour, you're probably talking way too much.
Yeah, so for the process, the longest part is probably the CMA, because you're
Yeah.
going over.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That probably gives you the most
Trouble.
report, well,
Well, not trouble. Most objections or questions come up in the CMA presentation. That's why for you, you can't just get to the house and be learning the numbers there. Like, no, you need to already know the ins and out of all the houses that you're gonna be talking about. Way before. So here's the beautiful thing about having all this in general already is that happened on a Sunday, when we set that appointment for Monday. I didn't have to do much prep. I just came into the office Monday, spent maybe 20-30 minutes on pulling some comps and learning them, and then went to the house at 6 o'clock. That's it. All right, let me show you now on the buyer side, same thing. You can go to Command, you can go to Michael Lewis, you can design one in Canva. So like my Canva one, I'll just show you the redesigned version and then I'll email you the old version. The redesigned version was just a guide to buying your home. So let me actually take you to this part of the buyer portion. So Adam, looking forward to meeting with you on Monday at 5 o'clock at the office for buyer consultation. I want to, at this point also, if Adam hasn't been pre-approved yet, I want to introduce them. So Adam, in preparation for that meeting, I'm going to actually send you an email introduction to 2 of my lenders. That way you connect with them before our appointment and start the pre-approval process. Ideally, we'd want to know what you're pre-approved for prior to our meeting on Monday. There's no point of you and I meeting without knowing what you're approved for. We're wasting each other's time. You guys hear me? Yeah. Okay, good. Introduce it to the lender, try to get them to push that forward, and then our meeting outline is actually similar in a way. Actually, it's not similar. Well, no, it is. Let me just show you the parts that are different. I'm going to spend most of the time here because that's real fast, quick up there. What I have to show you, I'll just kind of show you along the way. We don't need to do that. All right, so on the buyer side, and if you guys have the ability to hang out a little longer, I totally forgot I was gonna have Jeff come in and talk about loyalty agreements with you guys, because there's things in the pipeline that I think it would be beneficial for you guys to be aware of. So you're gonna welcome them at the office, ideally. You're gonna offer them a water, coffee. If there's kids, you're gonna wanna get the kids settled somewhere. You're welcoming them into where you're gonna have this consultation. I recommend either at their house or in the office, not a public setting, because it's going to be noisy and you lose control of the environment. Going to do a buyer consultation at a Starbucks can be challenging sometimes, especially at the time, depending on the time that you go. So once you've done the welcoming, you're going to do the same thing, the 3 outcomes. We're gonna be talking about the 3 outcomes, which they're the same. You're either gonna hire me as your agent, you're gonna not hire me as your agent, or I may choose not to take you on at this time as a customer. It doesn't happen often, so Jason, maybe this might work just to transition. It doesn't happen often, but sometimes a buyer may have expectations of me or expectations of a property that they're looking for that I know I can't find for them, or a goal I can't help them achieve. So I'd rather let them down now than let them down later. Then I go into the market stats.
That sounded more palatable, just in case
Okay. Okay. I'm still gonna do it the other way with you now. So, I'm gonna go into the market stats and I'm gonna go into, hey, what do you guys know about the market? Have you heard of buyer's market versus seller's market? And I'm sharing the same data points. The data points that are probably the most important for me are the months of inventory and the list price to close price ratio. The reason it's super important is because if I tell you the list price to close price over the last couple of months and the whole year has been 98% of the list price, that means don't come in lowballing 10, 20% off the list price. The market's giving sellers 98%. So at best, we may see a 2% reduction in the price. at best. It's a hot property, good location, great conditions, great features, it's probably gonna sell for more. I want them to know this up front so that we're not wasting time later with unrealistic expectations such as 20% off.
Is that just in Collier County or?
I made this up right now.
Oh,
Whatever the number is, whatever the number is. I was giving you an idea of what number I care about presenting the most.
Sorry. I wasn't, what is that number, where do you get the name?
I made the number up to make it, but it's the list price to close price ratio. So what homes list for is a percentage to what they end up selling for. If it's at 98%, that means homes are almost getting 100% of their list price. Don't come in with a 10% below list price offer. Assuming the house is priced right, obviously the price is way overpriced, the home is way overpriced, and that's a whole other thing. The point is, I want them in general to understand what a good offer would look like. Once I've done that, then I start getting into the home buying process, which I'll show you that on screen here in a second. Process to buy, and then after we're done with that, I usually ask them at this point, hey, do you guys think I would be a good fit for you as your real estate agent? Yeah, we like you, we want to keep going. And I was like, great, I'm excited because I like you guys too. Me too.
so.
Then from there, we're gonna do the needs analysis. We're gonna do I'll show you all that in a second. I'm gonna speed this up here so I can just get to the screen. Then I'm gonna do the needs, can't Excel analysis, so we're just gonna pretend that says analysis, needs analysis. And then once you've done the needs analysis, again, I'm gonna show you all this. Then you're just gonna go over next steps, which next steps are the broker agreement. You're gonna, showing times, so maybe like getting an agreement of how, when showings are gonna happen, how you're gonna communicate with each other, like what's the best way to communicate, especially if there's multiple people in the buying process, like who am I communicating with? And how you're gonna send them homes. So I give them a little explanation of the MLS. They're gonna get a link every time there's an update. They can heart it, they can trash it, they can hit possibilities, a little light bulb looking thing. That way I can see what they're looking at. They can leave me notes in the MLS system as well, and I'll be able to see those notes. And then like, when are we gonna go out? So showing time, like physically, when are we going? Like I wrote showing time up there, but here I'm really referring to like, what are the best times of days? And then this is more like, hey, okay, when, like, I want you to look at the list tonight when I send it to you, and maybe we can go out on Saturday for our first round of showings. That's kind of what happens on the next step. So let's take a step back here for a moment. So process to buy, that's this one. This is my version of the package. Like I said, you can go to Michael Lewis, you can go to Command and get your version, and I will share my version as well. This first page, what they get from me, so the services they're going to get from me, is really important, especially the market we're going into that Jeff's going to talk about. Then I go into the 6 steps to buying a home, and I literally walk them step by step. So the first step, choosing a realtor. I go into that. I go into the loyalty agreement. I go into transaction broker versus single agent. Jeff will talk on that. Then I talk to them about obtaining pre-approval and having all that outlined. Viewing and finding homes. Here I'd like to highlight the fact that we're going to schedule a tour of your top 3 to 4 homes. And that I will be the one that's going to be also sending them homes that are through the MLS, or if there's any for sale by owners or any open houses or new developments. Like I walk them through, hey, if you see a new for sale by owner, send me a picture of the property and the sign. If you see an open house, here's and I give them a couple of my cards. Give them one of my cards when you go in and let them know you're working with an agent, that you're already represented. If it's new homes, give me a call first so I can let that new home construction agent know that you're working with somebody, because keep in mind, they work for the builder, not for you. So I want to make sure you're protected when you go in there. Just kind of setting them up for what to expect in the process. I talk to them about making an offer, getting the inspections and repairs, and then the final review and getting them contract to close. Then I just go into here, YKW, and then this is the needs analysis part. So the first part that we went through was just the process to buy. This is where you now get to decide, or not to decide, but this is where you get to present to them why hire you. So I would look at each step of the buying process and think, what makes you unique? What makes you stand out? What makes you different? That's going to cause them to say, yes, I want you to represent me. Then go ahead.
Sorry, I was.
The questions, here, when we go through the 6 steps, all the 6 things. This is where you're speaking at this point. I'm not reading each one because you guys will have this and you guys can look through it. But each step of the home buying process is where you need to decide what are you gonna do unique in each step. Because you're showing to them the buying process and why to hire you to help them through the buying process. Why Keller Williams, and then once you're done with that first process, I generally like to ask questions up to this point. This is where before I get to your needs, this is kind of where I start to ask the question, you know, hey, well, what questions do you guys have before we go into the needs? Do you feel up to this point that we're a good fit for each other? And then we go into the needs analysis. And the needs analysis is broken down to lifestyle questions. Who will be in the home, who will live in the home you purchase? Describe your lifestyle. What do you enjoy doing at home? Do you do a lot of entertaining? Do you have a need for an office in the home? So these are just questions I put together from other people are ripped off, aka Ignite package from Ignite. Didn't make up any of these. Location, so we're getting some location questions, general exterior questions, house interior, bathrooms, bedrooms, kitchen, dining room. What you have to also understand is that when you ask a question, they're likely going to answer a lot of questions in one question. Does that make sense? They're going to give you a lot of answers in one question. So what I would do is obviously practice and know where, okay, they talk to me about bedrooms in the initial question. Well, I need to make a note of that and know that they've already provided me that information. So don't ask them something they've already given you. That's my point. Living room questions, and then just the overall summary. So this is kind of where you summarize their needs. And then don't worry about this. I just haven't finished up my order of market stats. So that's actually going to be in the front based on what I told you. It's the vendors, and that's it. And then at the end, it's all about what's next. And then this is where I get the loyalty agreement signed, which I'll bring Jeff in here in a second for that. Talk about that piece and some of the stuff that's happening.
The loyalty agreement is where they sign that they're gonna work with you.
Yeah, but they're gonna work with you exclusively. Have you, Jeff, would you do me a favor and get Jeff?
Sorry,
Would you do me a favor and get Jeff?
absolutely, really.
Thank you.
Wait, so we bring, so the lender stuff comes right after, so.
Before the interview, right?
So
Well,
when you
before
go
before the presentation, I like to have that introduction done with my lender, because if I have an appointment without you speaking to the lender, our needs analysis is gonna be very difficult. We don't even know at this point what you qualify for.
So if they're coming to the office, you met them at an open house
Okay,
and they come in, you welcome them, they sit down, would you like any coffee or water? Do you say, have you spoken to a lender? Is that the?
no, we've already done that in
You
advance.
already sent them the.
Yeah, that's done in advance. So let me.
Wait, when's that done then?
Together contact information.
You're chatting with them to talk about the meeting
At an open house?
Oh, one second.
after the open house, before you actually arrive at the meeting.
Okay.
But you're gonna chat with them before, you're gonna set up and. You're gonna be on the phone.
So it's
talking to
like,
them.
that's what it is. Oh, it sounds like we already know.
Call to follow up, and then you're like, yeah, so it sounds like, yeah, we should definitely do that. Or
Oh.
whatever is the appropriate phrase.
Yeah,
I was
but
like,
then before,
Yeah, you
Oh.
do Tuesday or Wednesday.
Oh, here we
And
go.
right here, are you paying cash or are you financing?
So in theory, here, let me answer, sorry, I was looking for this right here. So in theory, there's what's called a buyer lead sheet and a seller lead sheet. If I met them at an open house, and I'm doing a follow-up call, anytime you meet somebody, always your goal is to set an appointment. So the lead sheet is where you're starting to gather all the type of information you would want, and this is where it would come up. So I'm guessing you're not working with a real estate agent since you called me, or hey, since we're on the phone, you haven't, you're not working with a real estate agent. So you would use the lead sheet to answer those questions, get that information. Ideally, you want to, before you meet with them, you want them to meet with a lender or speak with a lender. Before you meet with them, you want them to meet with the lender, speak with the lender, start the pre-approval process, if not, get it all the way done, because if not, there is no point of that meeting.
Exactly.
There is a point, yes, you can meet and nurture and build, but guys, if I cannot tell you how many times people are like, oh no, I'm pre-approved, I got a good job, oh yeah, no, we make good money, and then they're like the brokest people ever. Cause that's the world we live in, right? We're what is it, the Jones, what is it? No, that and keeping up with the Joneses.
EIR.
We do that a lot. I was guilty of it. I said it to you guys with the car. I was guilty of that shit. I remember my friends were like, "Oh, my cool car." I'm like, "Yeah, you want the payment that comes with it too?" Hot. Right? So I don't even trust that anymore. When people are, "Oh, I make the money on." Listen, I've seen people that you think are wealthy be broke as hell. Get a pre-approval. Unless you're paying cash, get a pre-approval. And if you are paying cash, give me the.
You bank statement.
I mean, we need a proof of funds.
We just need it, so, because we can't even offer.
No, but we can't. I mean, no, we, yes, with listing agent accept it or even consider it? No. No, they're gonna say to you, no, unless, you know what I'm gonna say to my seller? Hey, I got an offer, but they're not pre-approved. They can't prove to me they're pre-approved. So I really don't even want to present it to you. I just want to tell you that I got it. You want me to tell you what it is? But at this point, they haven't been pre-approved. So I really don't know. We're not going anywhere with it. Who's gonna say something here?
So after the open
Yeah.
house follow-up, then so you're calling them back, then you're going through the lead sheet, and then after the lead sheet, that's when you say, it sounds like you should speak to a lender.
Oh, in that lead sheet, you're getting to know them.
Okay,
Yeah, but it doesn't, remember, the source where they come from doesn't matter. The point is this, if somebody you know. Like if your best friend calls you, hey, I wanna buy a house, all right, we're gonna set an appointment for Friday at 2:00. Before we meet with the lender.
Yeah.
so I say before we meet with a lender,
Yeah, I would say, hey, great, I'm looking forward to our meeting. Question though, have you already been pre-approved?
no,
Okay, we're gonna need to take care of that before we meet, or else I don't know if I can meet your expectations. So let's do this. Do you already have a relationship with the lender you want to use?
yes,
Answer.
no,
No, okay, great. I have two great lenders, or hey, I have an awesome lender. Let me introduce you to them. Can you take a call from them in the next few minutes?
okay,
Or can you take a call from them today? Point is, can you meet with them and talk to them before we meet?
okay.
Yeah.
And then if they have a lender that they've spoken to, great,
Great, can you send me the pre-approval letter so I have that in my, on our record?
okay.
If they are paying in cash, do you need the proof of funds before the meeting?
Ideally, I say, great, speak with your financial advisor, or your bank, your financial institution, and can have them provide a proof of funds letter. If they can't, here's the thing, and I'm not saying it's always this way, guys. I've seen plenty of deals where they don't provide it and the deal still works, but I'm just telling you that you're gonna if you do this enough and you don't ask for these things up front, you're gonna find out that there's a lot of unqualified people that you just Uber driving for.
Right.
All right, so I'm gonna stop, give Jeff some time, to talk about the transaction broker notice. I don't know if you wanna hit on single,
Okay,
and then what's happening right now, and
Okay.
loyalty agreements.
yeah, I have everybody.
You wanna see it or you good?
Sure.
Thank you,
You wanna see it?
Jarvis.
No,
Okay, all right, cool.
a couple things, before I start anything out, this morning I got another call about a agent getting a call to sell a piece of land on Marco Island. That's the third one this week. You know, you're just getting started. I'm not calling anybody new anymore because they're not new.
Yeah.
You're just getting started, so you will get calls from people that say, hey, you know, can you help me sell a piece of land? All right, and especially on Cape Coral and Marco Island, a few in Naples, but mostly in the estates. They'll call and say, hey, I want to sell my land. Okay, they say, oh, great, you know. How did you find my name? Oh, I saw you were a great realtor on the internet, you know, they give you some.
Build you up a little bit.
Build you up, puff you up. So, pump you up. Hey, I see you're the greatest realtor this side of the Mississippi River, but what'll happen is, you know, then you gotta go to call your appraiser or LIPA.org, and you gotta look that up, right? And you'll see on there, we won't go through it because I know we're kind of tight on time, but you'll see on there the owner of the property, all right? And you know how to go down and look at the deed, correct? We've done all that. All right, so now that will at least tell you whether the person, there's any relationship between the person that's calling you and the owner of that lot. Many times it'll blow out right there, but a lot of times we've had people send us fake driver's licenses with that property address on there. We ran it through DMV and they're phony license. We've had fake passports from Europe where we run it through the Interpol thing and it's a fake passport. So there's a tremendous amount of value to people being able to sell a piece of land that they don't own. And we even had an agent in the office that had a seller, sold a piece of land, then came back to her to sell another piece of land, and we verified that it wasn't his property. So I think maybe at least one of those. So hopefully the title insurance company has good insurance because they sold a piece of land that the guy didn't own.
Oh,
And a lot of these things, remember back, Jordan, in the prime when lots in the estates were selling for ridiculous amounts of money. And a lot of these people haven't seen or heard from that land for a long time. And so it's an easy target for somebody to pick out a lot in the estates or pick out a lot and say, hey, I want to sell this land. And generally I've not seen it at all on homes, just mainly on land. So if you have any questions, call me. I've shot down a number of them just by asking a few questions. And but at the very least, what we need to do is we need to send something to the true owner of the property. And we actually did that. And then when the property went on the market, the guy called and said, hey, you're trying to sell my lot. We said, well, we sent you a mailing saying, are you ready to sell this lot? And he said, oh, I just thought it was a scam and threw it away. So no matter how hard you try, you just have to be very careful if you're going to sell a piece of land that you really know that it's true. And, as an agent that doesn't have a big database and hasn't been out there a long time, you're especially susceptible to those kind of calls. So be careful with them. If you want some help, I'll help you. I mean,
I need help with the last I'm about to, list. But I need help with the comps, it's so hard.
yeah, comps for land can be tough.
Yeah.
Second thing, go ahead.
Just because I have a 12 o'clock appointment, so I do need to step out. I just want to say thank you guys for like really plugging in this month. Next month, we're going to continue doing it again. The dates will be different. So Monday and Thursday doesn't work as well next month, so there's going to be a little fluctuation in that. And the calendar you see out right now, at least you know the dates, but the subject may change a little bit just based on your feedback. And Jeff and I are going to do.
And we're going to set up a Google Drive. We'll put all the slides out there so you can get them as you want them rather than.
Yeah, everything I show you today, I'll have it on there.
And I'll put the CMA stuff out there from the
Yeah,
other
Jordan,
day.
this is really good.
And please listen to what he's about to talk about with this, because
Yes.
you're gonna tell them what's coming down, right?
Yep. So
thank you, Jordan.
you're awesome. So the second thing I want to tell you is another thing that seems to be happening a lot is if someone calls you for a mobile home or a manufactured home or anything that's not, concrete block and all that, you need to go and look on the property appraiser site to make sure that there's a PID assigned to that. We had a realtor that's come from another state. She put a listing contract together for a mobile home, but it was in a mobile home park where the land was owned by another owner and was leasing the land. You have to have a motor vehicle license to sell that kind of property. It's not land and so make sure you go to the property appraiser site. Somebody calls you there's a ton of manufactured home and mobile home communities in our area. So it's not unusual that somebody will call you to sell it. And the first thing you do is you go to the property appraiser site and you make sure that it's land and building. Because if somebody else owns the land, you cannot sell just the building unless you have a motor vehicle license. And I don't think you want to go get one of those, Hey, what did you get for this 1967 Voyager? Never mind.
But on those conditions, let's be simple, you can sell.
That has to be land and building.
Right, I'm saying there are some parts that are fee simple.
I'm not concerned about the ownership so much as that it has to be land and building, and the property appraiser has to have a deed for it and it was assigned to the property ID number. The ownership type is not necessarily an indicator whether you can sell it or not. It has to be the owner of the property with the home on it, has to own the land and the building.
Right.
Okay, so those are just a couple things that have been coming up lately. So I guess what I want to spend some time on with you, I've handed you all a buyer broker exclusive agreement. I think probably Jordan's talked about buyer interviews, okay, and buyer consultations. Okay, so whether you know it or not, there's some very significant changes coming in our business that will affect everyone. There's currently 2 lawsuits in the country, one in Missouri, smaller one, and then another one that goes through Illinois and a number of states. And it's a couple of ambitious law firms that have gotten a hold of some buyers. And the buyers say, you know, I paid too much because the seller paid the buyer's agent a commission. The theory of the lawsuit is that because, you know, in the MLS, we have the promise of compensation and that the seller is paying the buyer's agent compensation, that the theory is from these experts that they're paying too much and that this business of having the seller pay the buyer's commission is creating restraint of trade and causing buyers to pay more. Nothing could be further than the truth.
Yeah.
However, they have turned these things into class action suits, and there's 4 brokerages that are named, one of which is Keller Williams, the old Realogy Anywhere, and let's see who else is in there, Remax and Berkshire Hathaway. So they're basically saying everybody that's bought a home in this period of time overpaid for their house, and they deserve a rebate of the buyer's commission. Now, whether or not that will stick, all I know is that it keeps going along and it's become class action, which means that anybody that bought a house in that period of time, you know, the brokerages could be liable for paying them their buy side commission. It's a big deal. It's been kind of lumping along for the last couple of years. The first trial starts in November, the second one next February, and I have been reading and studying this for a long time. I don't think anything will happen in November or February, but I think as a result of settlement, there's going to be a separation between the seller paying the listing agent and the buyer paying the buyer's agent. Okay. So the way you'll get paid working with a buyer is the buyer will pay you more than likely. Now, this stuff could go to appeals and hearings and all that. It could be a couple of years from now, but I think there's no doubt in my mind that when we're working with buyers, we're going to need to have the expectation that the buyer is going to pay us. Okay. And the buyer broker exclusive agreement, which is part of your buyer interview, okay, serves a couple purposes here. The first purpose is for us to describe what we're going to do for that buyer. That's our value proposition. And as we go through these buyer interviews, and I don't know how much he got into it today, but we can spend a whole 2-hour segment just on buyer interviews. And the whole purpose of that buyer interview is, one, to find out what the buyer is currently thinking about what they want. And the old saying in real estate is buyers are liars. It's not really true, but buyers oftentimes don't know what they really want when they contact you to buy a piece of property. They know they like Naples, you know, but whether or not they're going to land up on the property that they asked you about is probably very limited, that the first property they call and ask you about is the one they're going to buy. So you're going to want to sit with them and try to establish a relationship with them. And in that relationship, you want to let them know that it's a lot of work to find a home for them. There's all kinds of research, there's comparables, there's all kinds of things that we do for them other than throw them in our car and take them and go, and open the lockbox. So what we have to do is we have to really work on, as we go along, our value proposition for that seller. It's not that I'm Jeff and I've sold 100 homes and I'm a great guy and you should deal with me. That doesn't mean anything to a buyer who's now going to have to pay me for my work. All right.
Can you elaborate on how that would be accomplished? Because,
Certainly.
I mean,
Here's what I
is
think.
it gonna have to come out of their side?
Here's what I think will happen. I think what will happen is we're going to be moving the deck chairs around on the Titanic. The price of homes will not change. In other words, the price a buyer pays for a home, including their closing costs and their commissions and everything, will more than likely be the same. How the buyer is going to pay for it is probably going to change. So what we think will happen is the mortgage companies will allow you to finance the commission, and just as they will in many of the programs allow them to finance all or part of your closing costs. So if the buyer is going to pay you, they're not necessarily going to have to come out of pocket at the closing with that cash. That cash is probably going to get rolled into the mortgage and spread out over the term of the mortgage. Why are they doing it that way? Because, you know, let's say it's a $500,000 house at 3%, that's a 15%, $15,000 commission. Okay, so whether I pay $485,000 for that house and $15,000 commission, or whether I pay $500,000 for that house and the seller pays your commission, to me, it's not gonna have a great deal of impact on the market value. The theory is by doing it that way, buyers will pay less for houses. I can't figure out any way in my 15 years in the business that that's gonna happen, but lawyers are lawyers, and this thing's moving along down the path, and every objection that NAR has put into it, they've steamrolled over it. So it's pretty clear to me that you're gonna have to build in and start now into some type of a buyer broker agreement that you're gonna sign with your buyers. Now, experienced agents don't work without these. They're like, if you're not gonna sign this, then I'm gonna send you to somebody else because, you know, I've got a lot to do and I'm really good at what I do. But newer agents, and even I was an agent for 5-6 years and I never had one signed. I never thought, well, they don't want to work with me. They don't want to work with me. But now it's going to be a little different playing field. It's that you're going to put in your time and energy and money helping a buyer find their home, and you want to be compensated for it. And I believe it won't be too long before the MLS says in defense, because if any of these lawsuits are affirmed, there'll be thousands of other lawsuits, you know, copycat lawsuits against the brokers that weren't on this list and against everything else. So I think what will happen is the MLSs are going to say, we're no longer going to offer a promise of compensation. You can offer it, but you don't have to offer it. We're already starting to see listings where there's $1 in there for the buyer compensation. So your approach starting out should be, in my recommendation, and we're going to start to preach this over the next year, is you need to have one of these signed by the buyer before you start working with them. And the purpose is going to be twofold. Purpose is going to be, one, here's my value proposition. Here's what I'm going to do for you. And here's why I expect your loyalty when you go to an open house or you go view a builder. But this relationship cements that for a period of time. And if you look at paragraph 5, it does say that if I'm not paid by the seller, then you'll pay me commission. And it also goes on to say, if the seller's paying me 2% and we have a 3% agreement here, you're going to pay me the other 1%. And people have run from this like, I don't want anything to do with that. Buyer's going to get mad. I'm not going to have a good relationship with them. I think this is going to become the new reality, the new norm. You're going to be working with a buyer. You're going to explain to them what you're going to do for them. And you're going to say, hey, you're going to pay me. The seller's not going to pay me anymore. I think the MLSs will back off the promise of compensation and say it's optional. I think sellers will end up paying it to sell their house. But in reality, without some piece of paper from your buyer saying, I will pay you a commission if you're not otherwise paid, then you can end up in a situation where the buyer would say, sorry, I don't have the money to pay you. I'm not going to pay you after you've done all that work. So I want you to start thinking in terms of the buyer paying your commission. Go ahead.
In that case that he talks about, if it's a financial, it will come out of the financial mortgage company. What if it's in cash?
Then that,
It comes from.
but if we are smart about it and we start now ahead of when all this stuff is going to hit, and it's going to hit in the next couple of years or earlier, and it's going to result in a lot of people leaving the business.
Wow. Why do you say that?
Because a lot of buyers agents aren't going to have their value proposition and their commitment from the buyer, and when they find out that they may or may not get paid, I think the whole idea of buyer's agency will shift around a little bit. I think we are going to start early and build a culture of, our culture is already coming from consideration. Our culture and our dialogues and everything are, how can we help you? This is nothing more than explaining how we're going to help you and how you're going to get paid. I think the mortgage companies will adjust. I think the MLSs will go and NAR will go away from broker compensation and it will become, the market will change. So how will I make a living working with a buyer? I'm gonna make a living working with every buyer that's willing to sign this agreement. And, you know, will it create some chaotic situations where buyers go, I'm not paying it? Well, okay, find somebody to work
Yeah.
with you and
Yeah.
hope that that person's gonna get paid. And once that happens a few times, how many more times are you gonna do that?
So is this a legal binding agreement?
It is.
And, okay.
I, as a broker, I've only had to enforce it a couple of times. One time was an attorney that went around our agent's back and cut a deal with the listing agent. And he had signed this with our agent and I called him and I said, you have a agreement with our agent that you would pay her. And he goes, I'll pay you half now and I'll pay you half in a month. He was a
Wow.
lawyer. He knew what he signed. He knew he was on.
I had an
Would we
objection.
sue some little old lady that, no, probably not. However, this is a binding contract, just as a sales contract and a listing contract are. This is a binding contract. It's enforceable. And yes, if the market shifts to where we only way we get paid is the buyer pays us, yes, we're gonna have to
Yeah,
enforce it.
absolutely.
What about a listing contract where we bring a ready, willing and able buyer to
Yeah.
a seller and they turn you down? Are we entitled to compensation? Yes. Will we go after it? Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that some of this stuff that's just been kind of traditionally swept under the rug, I don't think it will anymore. And I want you all to face the reality of what the market's gonna be. I don't wanna wait until, you know, our MLS decides, well, there's no compensation, and you come to me and go, well, how do I get paid?
The buyers, they're gonna go on strike.
Pardon?
You'll have a question on this.
Joe?
Hey, good morning.
Good
Is
morning.
this, or afternoon, I guess now, is this where we find this in DocuSign?
Yes, it's in there.
Okay, all right, that's the question. Okay,
So we've encouraged you to use at least a buyer loyalty agreement, of which there are several different ones that basically don't involve compensation, but they do involve loyalty. So part of your conversation with the buyer is gonna be loyalty. Part of it is now gonna become compensation.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
this just takes
Anybody,
it like the
anybody
next-
has to go. I've pretty much said my piece, but
This one takes it to the next step, because you're going over
Right,
compensation, okay.
so we can spend more time on this. I know we're out of time, but I want you to be aware that this is a very serious thing that's happening to our business. It will make some changes in the way we do business. And the more we embrace this and support it now, the less of a shock it's gonna be when it finally happens. I don't see how these two class action lawsuits involving literally millions and millions of dollars are gonna settle by saying, oh, well, we'll just keep it the way we are. I just don't see that happening. I see some of the settlements getting smaller. I see NAR and MLSs go, okay, we no longer will ask for the promise of compensation. And then I think we have to shift the way we do business. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
So can you, I don't know how much time we have, but like, can we go over just the number 5? I don't know, are you gonna go over this whole sheet?
I
or-
can. It depends on how much time you have. We're out of time and I don't want to keep you beyond your plans.
I
but-
got time, y'all got time?
So part of this, paragraphs really 1 through 3 are basically your value proposition. And you don't necessarily, what I would suggest is there's a number of really great buyer presentations that you have something like that. Maybe it's a slide deck, maybe it's something printed. But basically you're going to describe to your buyer early on in the process what you're going to do for them. And I don't necessarily think reading from this agreement is it, but it is the first part of it is the broker's role. We are always going to be transaction brokers, which is the default relationship. We do not operate as single agents in our market, and a no brokerage relationship would be like a for sale by owner or someone that's coming across from the other side of the state that's not a member of our MLS. So again, and the buyer is now agreeing in paragraph 3 as to what they're going to do, right? They're not going to go into an open house and start asking the agent questions and not identify themselves as having, you know, work with an agent. Okay, they're not gonna go to a new construction place and decide that, they're not gonna mention you because they could get a better deal. So the number of the threatening, or I guess, higher risk parts of our relationship with buyers is gonna be covered up front. Here's a stack of my cards. You go to new construction, you go to an open house, you hand out one of my cards. And you're agreeing as a result of my involvement to these commitments, and also for the period of time as defined in paragraph 4, to pay me 2%, 2.5%, 3%, whatever you're wanting to pay. And basically until this transition is complete, if the seller's gonna pay me 2%, and we have an agreement for 2.5 or 3, you know, you have the obligation to pay me. And as I say, this is been a very difficult subject for many agents to embrace over the years, because I don't want my buyer to think that I'm, you know, in this for the money. I don't want to think my buyer is wanting to tell me that I've got to pay them, you know. But unfortunately, I think the norm and the way things will flow is it will be, you know, you pay your buyer's agent, seller pays the listing agent, and that's the way it's going to go. Will it change the net price that a buyer pays for a property? Probably not. The theory is buyers will pay a lot less. That means that buyer's agents will work for a lot less, and I don't think that's, you know, going to be true. I don't think you're going to put in that much effort for that. So I think that it basically will be moving around the procedure and the way real estate transactions flow. But I think we have to start thinking about it now, and we have to start building it into the way we do business. And part of it is our value proposition, what the expectations of the buyer are, and then the rest of this basically just says, you know, I'm not going to do anything that's in violation of fair housing, you know, and see it as required by the National Association of Brokers policies to cooperate with other real estate brokers. We'll still have cooperation, but it won't be mandatory financial. That was the purpose of our MLS right now. Okay, so I'm not trying to create gloom and doom. I'm not trying to create any fear or trepidation on your part. I'm just trying to tell you that I've been following this thing for a long time and have been doing this for a while, and the winds of change are upon us. And I think as you're starting out, you want to build this type of conversation into your routine. And, you know, basically in our market, which has traditionally been a resort market, is changing a little bit. People are living here, you know, more and more year round, but we've always been kind of a resort environment, and there's always been a true lack of loyalty, right? I mean, that's the issue is there's so many realtors here and so many opportunities for people to start up with another realtor. Oh, I don't work with them anymore.
Yeah, there's nothing to bind them together. Yeah.
So it may mean you'll work with less buyers, but the ones you'll work with will be serious.
Yeah, that's true too.
And I think that's, you know, was always an issue with me, but I had a kind of an intuition when I started working with people that they weren't gonna, that they would throw me away for, you know, just a good opportunity. And so I didn't pour into those people. We're gonna pour into you, you're gonna pour into us, and this compensation is gonna cement the agreement. Thank you all, appreciate it.
So for number 5, so
Yep.
would that percentage be 3 then? Because
Well, 2.5 or 3, I mean, that's where we can't fix a rate or suggest a rate. That's a rate that the listing agent now decides, you know, when they sign the listing contract, how much they're gonna pay the Colebrook. And that's what goes in
That's
down the
what
line.
goes in there.
I'm guessing somewhere,
Oh,
I'm
that's
guessing-
the percentage, but you
I'm
only.
guessing
keep
somewhere,
one of those,
you know, it's probably gonna be a little bit dependent upon the price range that the buyer's looking for, right? If they're looking over $1 million to 2.5 is probably right. If they're looking for 300,000, 400,000, probably 2.5 or 3 is right.
So you would only put in the percentage and leave that other one.
Well, a lot of our teams charge a transaction fee to cover their transaction costs. So if you're on a team, that would be up to the team.
Okay.
You have we as a brokerage do not collect a transaction fee. We're one of the few brokers in town that doesn't collect a transaction fee. We think that's an economic opportunity for you if you want to use that to offset your transaction coordinator or your other costs.
Oh, that's nice.
So it wouldn't be, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
it wouldn't be on the percentage here, it would not be the 6%. It doesn't,
There'll be three.
it doesn't
Remember, there's no
include
co-broke. Take away the co-broke, each side is gonna be, and the theory is if each side floats to charge what they want, that they'll charge less. I don't know why it's a couple of professors that have, claim that they know the market and that it will change the price of housing dramatically. I don't think it will. Do I think that there's a lot of lawyers, a lot of money and a lot of hype involved in this, and will something come out of it? I do think so. I think as part of the settlement, we're gonna change a little bit of the way we do business with people. I don't know that there's gonna be any change in the economics of real estate from a buyer or seller standpoint. I just think that the transaction flow is gonna be different. And I know that if I have one of these with a buyer, I can get paid. If I don't sign one of these and they go to the next new construction site and don't put your name down and you don't get paid.
Yeah.
I went on a buyer's consultation and the buyer said, like, I won't sign for a specific period of time, but I will sign for the specific property that you're gonna show me.
Okay.
So how do we just?
You'd go down there to the bottom, to the last page and say this agreement is only valid for.
These.
But the point is if we do a good job of introducing what we're gonna do. And the buyer says, I'm just gonna do that for this property and that property. I mean,
You can't really.
is that something you wanna get into? I don't know. I'm just saying that. Most of the time, especially our market is a little bit different than other markets in that. Many of these things are in gated communities. Our community is long and narrow, so somebody can see waterfront property in the estates and it'll be a canal. 20 miles from the Gulf. When they look at properties on our MLS, they don't know the geographic area. They don't know, we're talking lifestyle and they're looking at a specific property on the MLS. So, I mean, again, I think it will change our relationship a little bit? I do. I think we will spend less time working with people that are really, I used to say they wanted to rent my super key for the day.
Right.
I told one lady that, she said, thank you very much. I said, well, it's been a pleasure renting my super key for you today.
Yeah, I love it.
It wasn't even fun. I mean, I didn't realize that after the third showing. I said, this is not a relationship that I want or she wants. So when I left, I said, thanks for renting my super key for the day. She went, what? I said, you know what I said.
I love
I
it.
mean, you can't, relationships are relationships and they have two sides. And we can't be running after a relationship that we don't feel, good about, and that we don't feel that there's a two-way communication. And maybe this will change it sooner, I guess, but really, I mean, the amount of time you can spend with a buyer can be extensive and it can be emotionally draining. And then all of a sudden you find out that they went around your back and went to the listing agent thinking they get a better deal or something. It will, I think to a certain extent, it might solidify relationships a little bit more.
Yeah.
There may be fewer of them, but the ones, like if I truly want to work with you and I know there's a commission being paid and it's not going to be paid by the listing agent anymore, okay. I mean, you don't work for free, do you?
Right, no.
So, the idea that we start out by talking about what we're gonna do for each other and how we're gonna cement the relationship is far better than most every relationship you have with a buyer that calls you and says, hey, I saw your listing at 123 Main Street. What does that mean? It means that you can spend a lot of time and maybe not.
So how many agents do you think you use the buyer loyalty agreement right now?
It's very small. It's like 20%, 15 or 20%.
So I worked in open house last Sunday and on the feet, it always says, do you work with, a realtor? When they were in there, so this is in the Palmera.
Bye-bye, thank you, thanks for staying.
And they were so into the home, very into the home, and I was shocked that they said they were working with a realtor, but then it said. Working with a realtor in the quarry, which is where their
Yep.
home is, so with that, would you have? I
Well, I mean,
haven't called them
The
personally.
question of, am I working with a realtor is basically a hands-off question, right? I have a relationship with another realtor.
So if it was you and.
Yeah.
Like, so you wouldn't contact those people?
Let me show you something from the last open house. I got an idea for you.
Okay. Every day I'm like, I love that jacket, but then they all keep getting better. Like, where is he going now?
He went to that.
For you.
Oh, I don't know, you know, because I'm actually being serious, because I've never had someone that says like, yeah, I'm working with the realtor. Well, what does that really mean? Like, okay, well, I can do a better job. Like, these people were, they like loved me, so I was so weird, it was weird, but then I was like, I guarantee.
So this is what I use for open house, okay? And basically you can get this book, it's kind of dog eared now, but you can get this book at Nabor for $20. But I did one page per customer, right? And they will give you a lot more information if it's their page, right?
Yes.
And then what I did on the back, I would write notes that I would use for my thank you notes.
Okay.
And when you look through here and you see the number of people that gave you all that information and the number that answered the questions, so you could write notes, that's a lot better. If you put a log out where one person's signing below the other, the quality of your information goes, most people will write.
Correct. So mine is just like this, and they put, are you currently working?
Yeah.